It's been 12 months since acquittal, and so much has passed us by. Such a scattering with evidence, and some blatant flat-out lies. Special new press sector, and Hank Breeden is his name. He is a dirty Boston lawyer, and his arguments are lame. He's tried to squash all of our experts, as he has no case to claim. He should have won an Oscar medal to convince the court he's sane. He can lie without a conscience and keep that smirk upon his face. I bet he wears those silky undies, the ones with edging made of lace. And Judge Beverly Academy is so biased for the state, is wading through 100 motions in a rush to seal my fate. So you can bring in Massachusetts, cause we all ain't got no quit. And we all know that the truth is my car is not the thing John hit.
Good morning. Hello. I'm here. I'm awake. Sorry for the sorry for the delay. One had to upgrade one's snacks. Good morning, sweetheart. Good morning, good morning. I'm getting there. All right. I just have to save this, and I will be with you. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited. Really, really like pee pants excited. About today, because today is the beginning of freedom. It is. And I wholeheartedly believe that. And if it ain't, yeah, you won't see a happy Jodie. Not even a little one. I've been I'm now the wench queen. Shut up. Sounds good. All right. I just need to link this in. I don't know why, but this time of night, the last week or so, I feel like I've got tonsillitis on like my right hand side, but I don't have any tonsils, so I don't know what's going on there, but fuck, it hurts. It really does. Where did I save it? T. Come on, Jodie, get your shit together. Oh, not in pictures, it's videos, you dickhead. These are the things that I do just before I go live, and that's why. Oh yeah, I'm always late because I got to remember where I've saved it. Oh, that's it, got it. Okay. Bevden. Oh, well, of course, yes. That's a no-brainer. Who asked for it? Was it Jackson, or did chamomile tea? Oh, really? Don't like chamomile tea. I don't like it. I don't wanna. Alan. Oh, good morning, Miss Tricia. I'm sure that was you just popping in, no doubt. And Miss Tanya will be here with us. I had to go to the bloody pain specialist today, so yeah, that was a hoot. Honey or sugar? Oh, yeah. I used to do that. Tea with honey and Finnegan. Joking. Right. So I'm really keen to get into to this. I know that they've got Matt DeSantos, DESOGRA, the black box. That sounds a bit wrong. Specialist to show them what it's all about. Teach them a thing or two. Yeah. Because we ain't got no shit. Quit. Yeah. Oh, what a lovely nana. I wish my mum was down here. She's up in Harvey Bay, and it's too far. It's too far. It's like a 3-hour flight away. It's just don't like it. All right, enough sook and Jody. Get your la la off, and let's the big boys play, shall we? It's time for some real shit. There's my overlay. Overlay. Just whilst you're waiting.
It's in your sight. Like and subscribe. Oh, don't be shy.
And I still can't find it. Overlay. Yeah. Must be up there. There you are. Okay. And that one. No, maybe that one. Yep. All right, that'll do. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it. Because we ain't got no bullshit.
Now opening ABC.
Hear ye. The big boys are coming out to play.
So I was told council want to see me at sidebar.
Ah, for fuck's sake. You for real? The shoes, Bev. What the shoes? Come on. Oh, Jacko. So he's doing the request.
So I'll hear you whenever you're ready, Mr. Jackson. Sure.
Does it go for long?
Thank you, Your Honor. We filed this morning a motion for required finding of not guilty under Massachusetts Rule of Criminal Procedure 25A. I think that's before the court. My comments will be relatively brief, but it's important, and the points that I'm going to make in the next couple of seconds or next couple of minutes are equally important. It comes down to the following. The Commonwealth has simply not proven, even in a light most favorable to them, that there was a collision on January 29th, 2022 at 34 Fairview in Canton, Massachusetts. There was no collision proven to have occurred. There was no eyewitness presented. There was no video evidence, no audio evidence, no evidence in the form of physical evidence at the scene by searches that were done by officers on the morning of January 29th, 2022. The Commonwealth, through suspect experts based on circumstantial technical data, only sought to prove a backing event, and that's important. They sought to prove that at 34 Fairview, the SUV went backward. They did not prove, and every single one of their experts was asked this question, they did not prove that there was actually a collision associated with that backing event. The Commonwealth experts said at best that the car went in reverse, and it was suspect whether it went in reverse at 34 Fairview or some other place, time, or date. The Commonwealth also put on an expert who said that she found no injuries, none, mind you, indicative of a vehicle strike on John O'Keefe's body. And she, Dr. Irini Scordibello, was arguably their most important witness. The Commonwealth cannot and did not say or prove a collision at a particular time, a collision at a particular place, a collision with a particular person, or that a collision even occurred.
A collision
on
causing
January
a particular
29th,
injury.
2022 at or around or at or after 12:30 in the morning. Their own expert, I think it was yesterday, if not the day before yesterday, was asked on examination
On lamination.
by Mr. Alessi, can you tell us the particulars of the collision, pardon me, as you suggested in your testimony? And his answer was, there's simply not enough evidence.
Mhm.
He was asked specifically, why didn't you try to recreate the circumstances, the force impact?
Mhm.
That's what you do, sir. You're a biomechanic expert. Recreate it for us. And he said, there's not enough evidence. There is evidence, however, that Brian Higgins and Brian Albert were sparring at 34 Fairview. There is evidence, however, that was just minutes, not hours, not days, minutes before John O'Keefe ultimately met his fate at 34 Fairview. There is evidence that Brian Higgins was love-struck, that he was jealous, that he was aggressively coaxing John O'Keefe out of the waterfall, that he was passively aggressively coaxing Miss Reed to engage with him rather than John O'Keefe. Again, there was not a single eyewitness to a collision. There was not even a single eyewitness to a backing event at 34 Fairview. The court will recall Jennifer McCabe testified that she basically watched the SUV the entirety of the time it was in front of the location at 34 Fairview with Miss Reed in the driver's seat.
Didn't see anyone get in or out.
She saw it pull up once. She saw it pull up twice. She saw it pull up a third time.
Oh, she does a
And
lot
then
of
she
these
saw
days.
it was gone. And at no time did she ever see the car go in reverse. She certainly didn't see the SUV go in reverse at a high speed. And she darn sure didn't see the car go in reverse at a high speed and strike a pedestrian.
Mm-hmm. Good job.
Her focus was defined enough to see thin tire tracks in a dusting of snow, thin enough, I think the phrase was, to track a cat. That's how detailed she was in her observations, yet she did not see John O'Keefe hit by an SUV. She did not see John O'Keefe's body in the snow, in the yard, laying prostrate, a 216-pound, 6'1" man.
Thank you, Jackson.
In the snow.
You got it right. That is one of my pet hates. Saying prostrate. Most people say prostate. Thank you for pronouncing that okay.
In front of the SUV, she was tracking the entire time. There are two other witnesses, Ryan Nagel.
I went looking for Camp Shorty this afternoon. Do you know how hard that is to find? There's not a time anywhere on the website, on Lisa's YouTube channel, nowhere. And I didn't know where to go to find it. Is it like a member thing, or because there's no instructions on how to find it or what to do?
They're Maxon. They both noted that John O'Keefe, not that they didn't see him, Your Honor, that John O'Keefe was not in the vehicle when they were behind him. The dome light was on. They could see inside the interior of the vehicle. Miss Reed was sitting there with her hands at 10 and 2, and the passenger seat, notably and markedly, was empty. He was not outside the vehicle. He wasn't standing. He wasn't sitting. He wasn't lying down. There's only one place he could be. Inside the curtilage of the home, inside the house, or inside the garage. Not one witness that was inside the house, not one passerby, not one neighbor, not one plow driver ever saw John O'Keefe's body laying prostrate in the snow that morning. Not one. Not until Karen Reed found Mr. O'Keefe at about 6:03. And again, the Commonwealth's chief medical expert, Dr. Scortibello, their medical examiner, who's the only person that the court heard from or will ever hear from,
Tell the truth.
who actually investigated John O'Keefe's physical body. The only person to have physical access to John O'Keefe testified he did not have any injuries consistent with being struck by a vehicle. But she did indicate that the injuries, as did the firefighters, the first responders, indicate that he had injuries consistent with a physical altercation. And certainly, as to counts 1 and 3, no evidence has been presented or proffered whatsoever by the Commonwealth that Karen Reed intended to run over and harm John O'Keefe in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Hearken to the video at C.F. McCarthy's. Hearken to the video at the waterfall.
Hearken.
Every witness confirmed what our eyes could see. That night, John O'Keefe, Karen Reed were loving, caring, affectionate. There's absolutely no evidence that Karen Reed had an intent to harm John O'Keefe, or that that after the fact, that she intended to leave him for dead, because there was no fact to be after. There was no collision in the first place. The Commonwealth's case, certainly on counts 1 and 3, taken separate from count 2, because of the mens rea associated with counts 1 and 3, fails miserably. The Commonwealth, at the end of the day, has presented their best case. They've done their best. Some would say they've done their worst. And their case has failed. No reasonable jury, hearkening back to the standard under Rule 25, no reasonable jury could find Karen Reed guilty of count 1, count 2, or count 3. But taking count 1 and 3 aside, those are separate counts.
Teresa. You know you've been told. Do you not? Is that for being late? Is that your penance? Is it? And I get that after it. You are such a dag. Thank you. Oh, darling. Hang on. Ready? Go.
Out to the person that just gave us a super chat. This community is just the best. Love you all the different.
Thank you. Is that American or Australian? Do you know how that works? You definitely want to and Kane. What? Like things, yeah. I was like today, as per usual, but I had to go to the pain management, like this chronic pain specialist this morning, and I set my alarm, but for some reason I'd turned the volume on my phone down, and I woke up. I had to leave. Well, I was supposed to be at Tanya's at 10:30 because she was going to take me. I woke up at 11. And luckily I'd had a shower before I went to bed. I had all my clothes organised and everything. Threw on my clothes, called an Uber, and messaged Tanya and said, I'll meet you at the hospital. And she was just going to pick me up. And yeah, it's been like that all day. So when I got home, when she brought me home this afternoon, I went back to bed, and I've only been back up when she rang me at 11. So I'm still like, but she'd even put this, darling, she'd put all these snacks out ready for me. Like I've got some that she'd gotten from her own cupboard, some peanut butter, Reese's peanut butter cup chocolate things. I had biscuits and what else did she put here? Oh, bananas. So I kept the chocolate and I fucked the rest off and got cheese and salami and crackers. So I'm waiting for her to come in so I can and play with her. So we're just basically at the request for a directed verdict, basically, or acquittal, whatever they want. Snacks for the win, correct? Yeah, because I was exhausted, absolutely exhausted this afternoon. She goes above and beyond, that girl, way and above. Yes. I've got a little visual, so I'm waiting for her to come on so I can play it. That's another reason I was late.
Because of the mens rea required,
Maybe I'll put it
and the
up.
high burden that's required, even taken in the light most favorable to the Commonwealth. What evidence have they proven that Karen Reed intended
None.
to kill or harm John
Thank you,
O'Keefe, or
sweetheart.
that she intended to leave him for dead in the snow? The answer is none, zero.
I am
reasonable
too.
jury could find Karen Reed guilty. This case never should have been brought in the first place. There are reasons that I won't go into here. The court knows those reasons or knows our position on those reasons. This was a vindictive prosecution, and I believe that the court is duty bound pursuant to the precepts of Rule 25A, as well as the
Jury
principles
here
of
for this?
justice, to dismiss all three counts, and certainly taking count 1 and count 3 aside, the court is duty bound to dismiss those 2 counts. Thank you.
Doesn't even get to sit down. Oh, do we have to listen to him too?
In a light most favorable to the Commonwealth,
Huh.
the first issue the court should look to is intoxication.
No, it should
The
look
reasonable
to
fact finder would find that the defendant was in fact intoxicated.
dipshit.
Based on the serum conversion and based on Karen Reed's statements herself, you've heard many admissions by the defendant
Many admissions
about her
What do you
level
mean?
of intoxication, which far surpassed the statutory mandate that she consumed alcohol in a way that would affect her ability to operate safely.
Yeah.
Those are just 2 of the cornerstone pieces of intoxication, which are clear, light most favorable to the
Doesn't
Commonwealth.
make her a murderous
Fact
asshole.
finder could find beyond a reasonable doubt. The evidence of collision is abundant. I do not want to go through an entire
Abundant.
closing argument or rhetoric, but suffice to say there are taillight fragments from the
Might have to check
defendant's
my
own
monetization
Lexus from her
status
shattered
too.
right taillight that are found in Mr. O'Keefe's clothes. Mr.
Yeah.
O'Keefe is left at the very spot where she expects to find him, according to her statements, where
Yep,
her
where she
car
left
does a
him
backing maneuver
alive. And
at
last
least
saw him
24 miles
alive.
per hour. He is left with injuries on his arm consistent with the damage
Consistent with a
to her
dog
Lexus right rear taillight.
or a coyote.
The scientific data is substantial. Telestream data, Apple Healthcare data, battery temperature data. And again, Ms. Reed's statements herself about clipping, hitting. The evidence of a collision in this case is overwhelming. It is a public way. Lieutenant Gallagher told us about Fairview as being a public way. And so as to the operating under the influence of alcohol manslaughter, the conduct of driving in that forward and backing maneuver after being intoxicated meets clearly the standard for OUI manslaughter. Regarding second-degree murder, as highlighted in my opening statement, the defendant engaged in intentional conduct. That was her maneuver of driving forward, stopping, and then driving back to Mr. O'Keefe on
Abundant.
January 29, 2022.
I bet you he says
Under the
prostrate.
conditions
That's
that night
right.
after being intoxicated, that conduct was intentional. And any reasonable person could find that her conduct that night created a plain and strong likelihood of death. There was no predicate of intending to kill or even intending to hit. There was clearly a plain and strong likelihood of death driving a 6,000-pound SUV forward.
Oh,
and then
I
back.
hear you.
In addition to state of mind, again, the defendant tells us herself. through firefighter Becker. They're arguing, they're upset. We see the text messages, evidence of attempted breakup. And we hear the words of Karen Reed when she leaves numerous voicemails that night, and you can hear her voice. There are statements, I do not want to go through a summary of all of them, but statements from the defendant herself where she acknowledges an injury to Mr. O'Keefe.
She's getting ready to come
She's
on.
the last one with him, where to find him, and her hypothesis is about hitting and clipping him. As to leaving the scene, again, the defendant tells us that when she leaves, he doesn't look mortally wounded. She leaves him, makes dozens and dozens of calls.
That comment was
but never
made
goes
after
back
she
to help
found
him
him.
and leaves him to die. And we heard from Dr. Wolf about the life-saving procedures that could have been initiated. The chance of survival was never given to John O'Keefe. All those facts suffice.
As I was looking for Miss Shorty's stream, I didn't realize. I thought it was Friday nights, but it's your Friday night, so it's Saturday morning. But I went onto her website and it said meet the mods. I didn't realize, but she's got it well set out there. I couldn't understand how she puts out so much content and works full time. Now I can. But she's got a great setup. It's like one of them is allocated, the meet and greet. So anyone's new, they're the ones that do all the meet and greet stuff. Another one was doing research. Another one was doing graphics. Like, absolutely awesome. And that, is it Joey? I think it's Joey. I need to speak to about their StreamYards, the chat thingies. I think it's him. It was the other one of her friends as well, Tara, but she's not online at the moment. Is that right? Excuse me. And I don't have a website either.
Under Lattimore, a light most favorable to the government that a reasonable fact finder would find beyond a reasonable doubt or could find beyond a reasonable doubt each and every element of each and every one of these charges.
No time.
Great, thank you. So
Sit the fuck
motion
down.
Is denied as to all three of
Mm-mm.
On the other topic that we were discussing at sidebar, I don't need to hear argument on that right now, Ms. Giannetti. I'd prefer to get started. I would like you and Mr. Brennan to talk to see about proposal. So are we ready to bring the jury in? I did not ask you at sidebar. Are you ready for this witness, Mr. Brennan?
I'm ready.
Okay, so,
Thank you.
all right, so. we'll
Bring the
in after
jury.
5 minutes, Paul. All right, so we'll take a recess.
All right, please.
Right. So our first witness is Matt DESOGRA, the black box guy, whose report Shannon with the one N and the last dipshit based their reports on.
Reconstruction. And within that field, I specialize in analysis,
Alright,
interpretation,
We'll listen to his credentials as they are.
All right, Mr. Jackson, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Mr. DeSogra, could you please state your full name and spell your last name for the jurors? please?
Matthew DESOGRA, last name DISOGRA.
What do you do for a living, sir?
I am a licensed professional engineer. I practice in the field of accident reconstruction.
Oh,
And within that field, I specialize in analysis, interpretation, and accessing all types of vehicle data.
How are you currently employed?
I'm employed by Delta V Forensic Engineering, which is an engineering firm that specializes in accident reconstruction, all parts of accident reconstruction.
Tell us a little bit more about Delta V. What is it? What kind of company is it? But other than that specialty, what else does it do?
So accident reconstruction is a broad field. There are a lot of subspecialties within that. So accident reconstruction is everything from the initial investigation phases of a crash all the way through testimony, like here today. Some of the specialties within that could be things like biomechanics, could be human factors.
Cool.
And my specialty is data, vehicle data and event data recorders.
Staying on that topic, what is your current title or position with Delta V?
great name.
I am the director of engineering for our EDR services line.
What does EDR services mean?
So event data recorders. So EDR is a general term we can use to talk about all types of data from all types of vehicles.
And how would you describe your role as the director of engineering for EDR services for Delta V?
I wear a couple of different hats. First and foremost, I'm still a practicing engineer. I still conduct investigations. I still perform analyses, and I testify.
Now.
On top of that, in the director role, I oversee a group. It's not just me doing this kind of work. I have 3 other engineers that work with me, all specializing in EDRs. So I oversee that group and focus on kind of the day-to-day operations as well as the direction we're going. You know, with things like autonomous vehicles coming, the role of data is growing. So we're kind of looking to the future in a lot of those ways.
As a consulting engineer, you've indicated what your specialization is. Do you specialize in motor vehicle accident reconstruction as well as?
I bet you he's got a bachelor somewhere up his sleeve. My bad.
Vehicle system analyses?
I began my career at Delta V doing traditional accident reconstruction in the broadest sense. And as I have progressed, I have sort of narrowed myself down and now specialize in that. But I still consider myself an expert in accident reconstruction because ultimately,
No, please finish.
Ultimately, anytime we're doing EDR or data analysis, it is in support of an accident reconstruction.
You talked about event data recorders. Do you also engage in the specialty of advanced data recovery methods? In other words, methods of pulling the data. It's one thing to have it sitting in a car. It's another thing to pull it out and make it useful, correct?
That's right. There are a lot of different ways data can be accessed, all the way from just plugging into a port on a working vehicle, all the way through when a vehicle is catastrophically damaged and even the modules themselves are damaged, accessing the data at the chip level. So no matter what condition.
What's courtroom confidential? Is that another YouTube channel or? Never heard of it, darling. Oh, pop the link in, Dal, if they want. I'm sure they'd be happy to, but yeah, you've got a wrench, you can do that. Pop their link in chat.
In a vehicle or the remnants of a vehicle are in, generally we can still get the data from that.
Do you have any specific knowledge about Toyota data?
I do.
Describe that for us.
Everyone needs support.
Beyond Toyota being a common vehicle in general, so we run into that data quite frequently. Just this year, we published a paper specifically studying some of the behaviors of the additional data recorder that's in Toyota vehicles.
Does Toyota make another sub-brand, for lack of a better phrase?
Lexus, I believe you're.
So Lexus is a Toyota brand.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. What is infotainment? It's kind of a combination of a couple of words, information and entertainment. What is infotainment data as it relates to vehicles, modern vehicles?
So that's it. It's a generic term, which more or less means the thing that's in the middle of the dashboard with the screen on it. A lot of manufacturers implement that a little bit differently, so they all look different, but it's a general term we use in the industry to describe that system.
And what about, I'm going to change gears a little bit. What about your experience with regard to GPS as it relates to vehicles on the road, on the common roadways of the country?
GPS is a pretty fundamental part of vehicle data as a whole at this point, and we run into it in a lot of different places. We see GPS data from infotainment systems, so we're analyzing that data. Most of that's GPS-based. I do a lot of heavy truck work, and almost every heavy truck has some kind of GPS system in it for the fleets to track them, so we're analyzing that as part of data. And then the last area would be when we conduct testing, any kind of research, we're generally going to put our own GPS systems on vehicles so we can study that data. So analyzing GPS is a regular part of my job.
GPS, global, I'm going by memory, global positioning satellites?
Global positioning system.
System, got it. GPS is a mechanism to figure out where on Earth a certain item might be, whether it's this pin or an 18-wheel tractor trailer, correct?
That's correct.
Is there any difference inherently in the GPS mechanism that's installed in an infotainment center in a Toyota/Lexus, versus a heavy truck or a heavy vehicle that's on the road?
The core technology behind how it works is fundamentally the same.
What is instrumented testing as it relates to Toyotas and VCH testing and things of that nature? Can you explain that for the jurors?
Sure. What instrumented testing means is, let's say we want to study, let's say how accurate some data is that comes out of one of these vehicles. So we need an independent source of that information. So what we'll do is we'll equip a vehicle with one of these GPS data acquisition systems. Basically, we can drive the vehicle around and we know exactly where it is, how fast it's going, all these parameters. We can do some maneuvers with the vehicle, then we can download the data that the vehicle stored, and now we can compare the two and say, okay, well, if we have really high confidence in our system, how accurate is the vehicle system? Because the reality is there's always some small errors in these vehicle systems. And in a lot of cases, what's important is quantifying that error.
So you're obviously familiar with GPS systems in many different platforms.
That's correct.
Okay. How many cases have you been a part of in terms of investigating and or analyzing infotainment center or infotainment system data?
Infotainment specifically, probably around 30.
And are you also familiar with engaging in some sort of analysis that's referred to as clock alignment?
Yes.
What is clock alignment?
Clock alignment would mean that anytime we have a timestamp in any set of data, a singular clock value, there's a good likelihood that that's not 100% accurate. So clock alignment would mean finding an independent source of time to compare that to, preferably one that's more reliable, and then making the necessary adjustments so that time can be considered real time.
How many cases have you been involved in that deal with clock alignment specifically?
Thousands, over 1,000. That's a regular part of data analysis. Any data set that has a timestamp, it's normal. It's part of the analysis. It's really the first step is let's get that clock aligned. So it's something I'm doing regularly.
And how long have you worked for Delta V?
It'll be my 13-year anniversary next month, actually.
Okay. These things that you've just described that we've talked about for the last few minutes, these are all duties that you perform within the rubric of your employment as the director of engineering at Delta V, correct?
Correct.
Now let's shift gears real quick and talk about your education, training, and background that qualifies you to perform these duties that you just talked about. Go ahead. The road is open and it's yours.
Certainly. So I began my academic career. I got an undergraduate degree in mechanical engineering from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. I then went on and got a master's degree also in mechanical engineering from the same school. And then when I came out of school, I immediately started working for Delta V Forensic Engineering. In order to get a professional engineer license, I then needed to acquire 4 additional years of work directly under the supervision of another licensed engineer. So then I completed that phase of work. And then in order to maintain my license, I have to complete continuing education every year in the field that I practice.
So you got both a Bachelor of Science, correct?
Correct. Bachelor of
Did
Science.
you mention the year that you got your Bachelor of Science?
2011.
And you have a Master's
Correct.
in engineering.
That is correct.
And when did you secure that degree?
2013.
You just mentioned engaging in continuing education. What is continuing education in terms of the engineering field or the reconstruction field in your world?
So in the state that I'm licensed in North Carolina, they define that really as any activity you're participating in that's keeping you abreast with the field, keeping you up to date with what's going on. So taking formal classes counts for continuing education.
Yes, I
also
do
some
too.
of the other work that I do, like publishing research in peer-reviewed journals, also counts as continuing education.
Yes.
Do you regularly attend symposiums or symposia? I guess is the right
Yes.
word. Have you attended symposia related to EDR research and training?
Yes.
How about advanced applications of heavy vehicle EDR data?
Yes.
Correct. Yeah, I attend. There's a couple of regular conferences in our industry specifically tailored to EDRs as a whole for passenger vehicles and heavy trucks. I'm a regular attendee of those. I'm also a regular speaker at most of those. And I'm usually presenting some of the new research that we have for that year.
So not only do you attend, you actually teach.
Correct.
Have you attended data? I'm sorry, have you attended data? Have you attended events that deal with data, event data recording systems, and event data recording system extraction?
Yes.
What about vehicle crash reconstruction?
Yes.
What about electronic control module imaging?
Yes.
What about electronic control model analysis?
Yes.
Applying automotive EDR data to traffic reconstruction?
Yes.
These are samples of the type of continuing education that you routinely engage in, correct?
All that's accurate.
You talked about additional licenses and professional registrations. You're a licensed professional engineer, correct?
That's correct.
In North Carolina?
Correct.
You're also a certified IPC specialist?
Yes.
What is an IPC specialist?
IPC is an organization that offers certifications in basically soldering. I could say it in more technical ways, but it boils down to soldering. So as it relates to what I do, when we are recovering data from damaged EDRs at the chip level, that involves some really precise soldering work. And so IPC offers courses in how to do that at basically the highest level, and then they offer certifications for that.
Are you a member of the Society of Automotive Engineers?
I am active member.
When you say an active member, is that a nationally recognized society for academic engineers?
Yes.
The teaching roles that you've held within organizations, have you been an instructor concerning accessing and interpreting heavy vehicle data event recorders?
I am. I'm currently an instructor of that course, which is offered through the Society of Automotive Engineers.
As a matter of fact, next week, are you going someplace to teach?
I am. I will be in Wisconsin next week teaching that very course.
Are you a member of any subcommittees within that organization, within the organization of the Society for Automotive Engineers?
I am. I am a voting member in the J2728 subcommittee, which is a subcommittee for event data recorders on trucks and buses.
Are you also a member of the National Association of Professional Reconstruction Specialists?
I am.
Does that require a certain level of education?
It does. And it requires, as far as I know, when I joined, sort of proof that you are active within the field of accident reconstruction.
That was my next question. It requires you to stay current on accident reconstruction issues, correct?
Correct.
Have you also authored peer-reviewed articles on within your field and
Yes.
subfield? Is it fair to say that you've authored or co-authored a number of peer-reviewed papers in the field of accident reconstruction specifically, as well as EDR data retrieval?
That's correct.
Have any of your peer-reviewed articles that you've either authored or co-authored specifically focused on Toyota vehicles?
Yes.
Can you name one, please?
Specifically, this year published a paper where we studied the effects of collision-induced power loss on the way data is recorded in Toyota systems. And that
hang on.
would include Lexus systems. Fundamentally, they're the same components. It's just a different brand on top.
He knows his stuff so well. He doesn't need his Garmin watch. He doesn't need a laptop in front of him. He just can say it off the top of his head. It's amazing.
In January 2025, did you co-author a publication entitled Simulation of Vehicle Speed Sensor Data for Use in Heavy Vehicle Event Data Recording Testing?
Mr. Jackson, you're going to have to repeat that.
Of course. Sorry. In January 2025, did you co-author a publication entitled Simulation of Vehicle Speed Sensor Data for Use in Heavy Vehicle Event Data Recorder Testing?
Yes, I was the lead author on that paper.
When you're dealing with retrieving data from a vehicle, an EDR, an event data recorder, Toyota paper, whatever it might be, and that's a term of art, Toyota paper, correct?
Sure.
Does it matter if the vehicle is a heavy vehicle, a small vehicle, a passenger vehicle, a moped, or a skateboard if they happen to have an infotainment center on it?
There are differences, of course, between the data that comes out of passenger vehicles and the data that comes out of heavy trucks, but there are also a lot of fundamental similarities to those. Like, for example, they all record vehicle speed. They all have accelerator pedals. They all have brake pedals. So a lot of the core data we're analyzing is very similar.
In January 2020, did you co-author a publication entitled Chip and Board Level Digital Forensics of Cummins Heavy Vehicle Data Event Recorders?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And what was the fundamental, without getting into the granular details, the fundamental aspect of that paper?
So in that research, we introduced a new technique for getting data out of damaged modules. So, they're either burned, they've been submerged in the water, they're crushed physically from impact. We demonstrated a new method to be able to get data less invasively, but still at the chip level. And we also demonstrated that we could translate that data from the chips outside of the software that was provided. So you could use the software and get the data that way. And we demonstrated we could basically do it ourselves if we wanted to.
Mr. DESOGRA, have you been qualified in other courts to testify as an expert in the area of accident reconstruction, EDR data retrieval?
Yes.
How many times?
Once.
When was that?
In New York.
You were deemed qualified as an expert in that court in this field that you're talking about today.
Specifically with as it relates to data, yes.
I want to talk a little bit about what you were asked to do in this case. We asked to undertake a review of certain work performed by a person by the name of Shannon Burgess with Aperture LLC.
Yes.
Are you familiar with Aperture?
Yes.
Before you were asked to undertake that review, were you familiar with Aperture?
Yes.
Were you familiar specifically with Shannon Burgess?
Yes.
Were you asked to engage in any original analysis in this case?
All of my analysis is fundamentally based on all of the data and the numbers provided in the Aperture reports. So more or less the answer to your question is no.
So you were asked specifically to give the court and the jurors clarity on data that Shannon Burgess had analyzed and provided a report about, correct?
Correct.
And that dealt with data obtained from Ms. Reed's SUV, Karen Reed's SUV, correct?
Correct.
Did you in fact review Shannon Burgess's report summarizing his findings and conclusions regarding clock drift? That report was dated in January of 2025.
Yes.
And what did you do in that regard?
I analyzed the methods that Mr. Burgess proposed for aligning the clocks in that report.
Were you also asked at some point to
Tanya's
review
avatar for
Judson Welcher's
DISOGRA.
report and PowerPoint presentation regarding the timing of the tech stream event known as 1162-2, 1162-2?
Yes.
Did you determine whether Dr. Welcher had based his report on Shannon Burgess's analysis?
Yes.
Before we get into that, I want to ask you a couple of questions about tech stream events. So
Hey,
we're
Jenny.
all talking
Jenny G, welcome.
sort of with the same vocabulary if we could. When I say tech stream event, have you ever heard that called a trigger event?
Yes.
Are those sort of synonymous?
The event, in order to be generated.
Welcome, Jenny. And we do have your link, but chuck it in chat anyway. Actually, no, you can't, can you? That's all right. We've got you. We got you covered. Right about there. Yeah, that's the one, isn't it? Yeah. Yes. I got it. Whipped it up. Thanks, Simmy. Are you enjoying this trial? Are you covering this one, Jenny? Tease the OG. She's the OG.
Generated has to be triggered by something. So
Oh, you're
yes.
welcome. Thank you for checking us
You became
out.
aware in your analysis, I'm assuming that Dr. Welcher reported a trigger event at a particular time or span of time, correct?
Correct.
What span of time was that? Or what, I should say, what
No
time was that?
expectations, sweetheart.
For which event? Just so
For
I'm
the
clear.
1162-2 event, sorry.
Do you mind if I reference the slide? Because I don't have the number
With
committed.
the course
to my-
permission.
Go ahead.
Do you have a copy of it in front of you?
I do, Your Honor.
Is the channel covering this trial or not? Oh, sorry, my throat's gone. Awesome. And are they of the same
So,
opinion?
The
Oh, I
original
can't see all of
analysis
us, but
places
Yeah,
event
please.
1162-2
of her innocence.
ending at 12:31:43 a.m.
Now, Dr. Welcher, this is what I want to talk about for just a quick second. Dr. Welcher indicated that the trigger event
was from the acceleration.
began at 12:31:38, correct?
I believe so.
That would suggest that a trigger event lasts 5 seconds, 12:31:38 to 12:31:43, correct? Objection.
Sustained is to form.
Awesome.
Let me ask you this.
I will check it out as
Does
soon
a
as I
trigger event or does a text stream
stop
event
filming.
last 5 seconds or 10 seconds?
Actually,
The trigger is a singular point in
I
time.
go and
That's my
subscribe. I
question.
might be able
All
to.
right, so if we're thinking about a trigger event, it's like that clap, snap, right? It's a point in time, not a series of, not a time span, correct?
It's a singular point, correct?
Okay. Does a trigger event or a text stream event cause a recording to bookend the trigger event itself?
Yes.
Explain that for the juror so that we're very clear about that.
Sure. So when an event is triggered, what we end up with is some data from before the event was triggered and some data from after the event was triggered. The way it does that is it's kind of always recording. And as soon as it sees a trigger, it says, aha, and it goes and it grabs the previous 5 seconds. That number can vary. It can be more or less than 5, but for the specific trigger we're talking about, it grabs the previous 5 seconds of data, and then it keeps recording for an additional 5 seconds, and that completes its recording phase.
Right. So
Oh, I know.
if
Yeah.
Dr. Welcher indicated that
before.
the text stream event, the trigger, was at 12:31:38,
Has he
would it be
got a few
accurate
channels?
if he said that trigger ended at 12:30.
Has he got a few different channels? Because I'm sure I've seen him somewhere else. I'm happy. Josh is a hottie too. I swear I've seen him somewhere else. But yeah, I'm already a subscriber, so there you go. How's that? So he's going to do the live Q&A. I should tell him about my database, and I'll come and use it on his channel. It's got everything, and it will tell you the truth. Oh, he's on Court TV. Yeah, I thought I'd seen him. And ask him to check out. Seriously, he needs to check out the Massachusetts Declaration of Rights. It's a specific law in Massachusetts, well, not law, but it's part of their weird ass shit over there. It's Article 14, and it pertains specifically to homeowners or property owners and criminal activity on their property and their rights. And it explains why Brian Albert did not come out of his house. Did not. So it was strategic from the start. I swear to God, I have tried to tell Ian Runkle uncivil law. No one's listening to me. I shit you not. This is the key, that it was a strategic plan from the start. Article 14, Massachusetts Rights, Declaration of Rights. Google it yourselves. It's amazing. You will just go, what the fuck? Yeah, it's an additional layer of protection over and above the Fourth Amendment.
3143.
Because it always bothered me. So I searched.
Is there any, if a trigger event is one point in time, one snap in time, would it be accurate to say that the trigger event itself lasted 5 seconds and ended 5 seconds later?
It wouldn't be accurate to say the trigger lasted that long.
That's my question.
The event lasts that long, but the trigger is only one point within the event.
The recording lasts that long.
Right.
Correct?
Correct.
So in other words, it captures, or does it? Let me ask you this. Does it capture 5 seconds before and 5 seconds after?
And how
the
it's
trigger
set up.
event is the singular point right in the middle.
That's correct.
Okay. If we were to calculate the window between the trigger event or the text stream event and a lock event on John O'Keefe's phone, you analyzed both, correct? Or you reviewed both, correct?
Correct.
Would you calculate from the point of the trigger, would you calculate from 12:31:38, that point in time, and I'm using the tip of my pen to represent the point, at 12:31:38, or would you calculate it from 12:31:43?
Customarily, when we're doing any analysis, we're referencing everything off of the trigger. That's the normal way. Everything in the aperture reports was referenced off of the end of the event. So
Of the recording event,
of the recording event.
not
So,
the trigger.
Correct. And I didn't correct that. I just went with that convention for all of the analysis I did.
But you noted it, correct?
Correct.
And you noted that that would be 5 seconds inaccurate. I'll withdraw it. I'll ask it a different way. What would be the effect of timing if you were to start at the trigger event, 12:31:38, versus timing the event if you were to start at 12:31:43?
There'd be approximately 5 second difference in every subsequent calculation.
And if, in fact, there was a lock event, which you reviewed, at 12:32:09, how long would the actual window
Thank you,
be
Lloyd.
from the trigger event
You're too
to
nice.
12:32:09?
It would be larger
It's just
by 5 seconds, approximately.
So it would actually be 31
handy.
seconds, correct? Did I do my math right?
You did.
because it's based on fact. No one likes bullshit. And that's the only way I can see of achieving it. Even, I mean, the testimony might be bullshit, but that's what presented to the jury. That's what we use. No bullshit. No drama.
Let's get back, if we can, to the offsets that you identified in Shannon Burgess's, the time offsets that you identified in Shannon Burgess's report.
It's here. I've got it on my computer. I bought the software. It's specific trial-based software to analyze legal transcripts. So it's got like the basics, understanding and knowledge of the legal process. And I have uploaded every transcript from the first day of the first trial to yesterday. And it's the way you access the data is through ChatGPT, and you tell it what to extract. You just ask it a question and it'll tell you in real time. So yeah, it's just, I just open it up as a tab. It's on my computer. Then ask it anything you want. And it only answers you in what you've put into the database. So it's all fact-based. Yeah.
When you
Yeah,
applied the potential,
If you use that in combination with Sleuthy Goosey's timeline and stuff and all of her hard work, it's like the complete package. No, it's not one of those things you could put a link in. The database is like it's a purchased software, so it's not something I can share, unfortunately. But I can ask anytime. If you want a question answered, just put it in chat, and I will like type it all in and bring it up on when we have a break. All good. You can use it anytime.
Offsets identified by
Actually thinking of using it during the verdict watch, and just having a Q&A, ask away. It does predictions. I put into it the voir of Daniel Wolf and Hank Brennan, and I asked it to pay particular attention to the wording, the phrasing, the questions, the tenor of the voice, the nature, the tone, the whole lot, and what they believed the intention was, and what strategy was behind it, and amazing. And it's really good to compare witness. Like anyone that's testified in the first trial, I put in there, identify and extract these two statements from 1 and 2, compare them, tell me what's different and what's and if they're telling fibs. It's awesome.
Mr. Burgess to the text stream event at 1162-2. What opinions or conclusions did you come to with regard to that analysis or that question?
Sustained. Ask it differently.
Ask differently, Mr. Jackson.
Did you apply the potential offsets identified by Mr. Burgess in his January 2025 report to the text stream event 1162-2?
Yes.
Did you also apply Dr. Welcher's analysis based on that same Shannon Burgess analysis to reach an opinion or a conclusion?
Yes.
And what was your opinion or conclusion with regard to that event and the timing following that event?
Based on all the data in those two original reports, regardless of what adjustment is made or which 2 points are used to try to correct the clock,
Which one? I'll allow it.
phone lock event always occurs after the end of the event, using their convention of referencing off the end of the event, not the trigger, but it always occurs after.
And that was based on Shannon Burgess's January 2025 report, correct?
Correct.
Sustained.
What was that based on? Which report? We're dealing with two different reports, May
Correct.
and January. I want to make sure
Sorry,
we
love.
differentiate.
Sorry.
Which report are you just now talking about?
I'm talking about the January report.
Now, did Mr. Burgess, were you supplied with a supplemental report by Mr. Burgess?
Yes, I was.
When was that?
May.
Slightly after he issued it, but I don't know the exact date.
Say that again?
It was issued on, his report was dated May 8th, and I think I was provided it a couple days after that. I don't
Okay.
remember the exact date.
So after, well, do you know when this trial started?
No, I don't know the exact date.
I know you're not watching the trial, but it was in the middle of this trial, correct?
Sustained.
I'll ask you a different question. With regard to the original report, the January 2025 report, was there any circumstance in which Mr. Burgess and Mr. Welcher could conclude that the lock event on John O'Keefe's phone, that lock event, occurred before the trigger event?
Sustained. Ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
See? Ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
What is your opinion about whether or not there was any analysis done by Mr. Burgess or Mr. Welcher that put the lock event occurring before the trigger?
Sustained.
May we approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Where did you go, Mr. Jackson? How about you say, in that initial report, did that trigger event include the lock screen event in their report? Oh. He can't lead. That's why he's objecting. Although she lets bloody Hanky Spanky lead all the time. Oh my God, yes. Yes, it's time for the big boys to come out and play. The big boy panties. Let's get them on. Oh, and I can L this. Too far. sidebar. Oh, I didn't do my sidebar sweep.
May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sweep.
Back to my question.
Hang on.
Was
Wait.
there any circumstance
Wait,
based
Jacko,
on
wait.
your review that if the text stream event occurred at 12:31:38, that there was any circumstance that the lock event occurred before that trigger event?
was not.
Yeah, they all get issued with a pack of tissues. Catch the drool.
Did you create a PowerPoint for clarity's sake in March of 2025?
Yes,
Did you provide that to us?
I did.
What was the purpose of creating the PowerPoint?
The purpose of the PowerPoint was really to take a bunch of different data elements that were kind of placed throughout Mr. Burgess's report and Dr. Welcher's report in PowerPoint and compile them into a single source, a single table, essentially, to show as clearly as possible what the conclusions would be if we look at the data as a whole.
When you created that PowerPoint presentation, did you create it with the intention of providing it to the defense, which would then be provided to the Commonwealth?
Yes.
Are you aware of whether or not that was disclosed to the Commonwealth as part of the normal discovery process?
No.
So the answer is no, the answer is.
Following your presentation of the PowerPoint to us, at some point, did you receive from Mr. Burgess an amended report, an amended PowerPoint?
I received an amended PowerPoint by Mr. Burgess, not from him, though, from you.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Did that report or did that PowerPoint, however you want to put it, markedly, was it any different than his January 2025 report?
Yes.
Did you note any conclusions? Did you note the conclusions that he came to in January 2025? Going back to the original report?
Yes.
Did you note conclusions and opinions that he came to in May of 2025?
Yes.
Had they
Were those two
changed?
things different?
Mm.
Sustained.
Were the conclusions,
Come
not his
on.
opinions, were his conclusions?
He set the
different?
foundation. Ah,
Sustained.
Was there any difference in the two reports?
yeah.
There was.
Tell me the difference.
In the first report, Mr. Burgess did some of the calculations that are necessary to correct or adjust the times based on certain approaches, but never went through the final step of applying those calculations to the times and coming up with the final time. In the supplemental report, he then essentially took that analysis to the end. He approached it in a new way, a different way than he had previously laid out in the first report, but then he also took it all the way to the end by applying those calculations to the times.
What were the main differences? Explain for the court and for the jurors, what were the main differences that he changed in the May 2025 report?
Contrasting it with the original
Correct.
report. In the original report, he laid out some methodologies for correcting the clock using phone calls that were shared between the vehicle and Mr. O'Keefe's phone. And in the supplemental report, he moved away from the phone call analysis and moved to attempting to align the clocks using a shared maneuver between the vehicle and the phone.
What was the shared maneuver?
It was a three-point turn.
Was that the same analysis that he had in January 2025?
He did not have that analysis in the 2025, by the January 2025 report.
Thank you. Based on the new information in the May 2025 report, what was the effect, as you see it, regarding the possible
They
scenarios?
put the timeline back.
So I did the exact same process I did using the supplemental report as I did on the first report. And when I ran all those numbers and those calculations, it turned out there are now some scenarios in which the phone lock occurs after the end of the event. There's some scenarios where the phone lock occurs simultaneously, like literally at the same second. And there are some scenarios where it occurs before. So now there's a range.
So Mr. Burgess's report, his new report, his amended report, widened that gap to allow him to opine that there were scenarios that occurred after the phone lock event, correct? Objection.
The objection sustained.
Did you prepare a PowerPoint presentation in furtherance of clarifying Mr. Burgess's analysis?
Sustained.
Oh,
Did you seek to clarify Mr. Burgess's analysis? Objection.
oh, for fuck.
Your Honor, may we approach?
What the fuck, Bev? She fucking shits me. She's happy to let Lion Buckwits up on the stand. Yeah. Uh-huh.
May I?
Yes.
Did you
Hello,
prepare
my
a PowerPoint
lovely.
presentation in furtherance of your analysis?
Yes.
What was the reason and what was the purpose for your PowerPoint presentation?
I needed to include in my analysis the approach and the conclusions from the supplemental report by Mr. Burgess.
May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
If you wouldn't mind taking a look at that document, it's a multi-page document I just handed you, and just flip through it and let me know once you've familiarized yourself with it. What is that document?
This is a printout of the PowerPoint presentation that I prepared.
Is it true and accurate?
Yes,
And it's complete?
it appears to be.
Your Honor, I would move for its submission, please.
I have no objection.
May I have that back, please? Just a quick second.
208. Thank you.
Jenny has come to visit us. Thanks, Simi, from Courtroom Confidential.
Your Honor, permission to
I'll pop the link
display the
up.
PowerPoint presentation?
Okay.
Mr. DESOGRA, can you still see with the lights off sufficient to see what's on the screen and what's in front of you?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recognize what's on the screen?
Yes,
What is that?
that is the title page of the PowerPoint that I prepared.
And what is the how would you describe the PowerPoint?
So this PowerPoint is largely identical to the first PowerPoint I prepared in that it seeks to take all of the different approaches between the initial Burgess report, the supplemental Burgess report, and Dr. Welcher's report, lay out all of those approaches in one kind of coherent fashion so we can look at what conclusions we can draw from all of that
Masters in
data.
science.
With court permission, can we go to slide 2?
Yes.
No,
Mr. Jeffrey,
Ending?
you can just use this PowerPoint. It's in evidence. You don't have to ask slide to slide.
Thank you, Your Honor. Taking a look at this next slide, what is this? What are we looking at?
This is a slide from Dr. Welcher's presentation that I was provided. Specifically, this is his slide number 33.
And what does it show?
This is where he introduces.
look at the difference. Compare the difference, okay? From Welcher or even the other dickhead to this. He knows the slide number. He doesn't have to be asked. He knows that he's not allowed to use a laptop or a watch or read his text messages or anything in court. He is precise. He knows his shit. He hasn't had to look anything up. It's off the top of his head. He answers it clearly. Like it's polar opposites. Absolute polar opposites. And you know what? Even in cross, he will answer. He won't be doing the whole shady, let's dodge and, oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood the fucking question, or can you repeat that? Or, well, I can't really say yes or no because it's, you know, blah, 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 bullshit.
Is the first, I guess,
Yeah.
acknowledgement that there's a difference
Yeah.
between the time that Aperture
Because he knows
calculated
his shit,
for the end of
and he's
event
not-
1162.
He hasn't got a narrative to follow. He's not having to be careful about what he says. He's telling the truth. There's the difference.
2-2 and the lock event on Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone.
Is there anything in this slide that you disagree with in Mr. Welcher's presentation that you disagree with? It's up on the...
I added the 2 green boxes and the text, the word after. That's not Dr. Welcher's. And I added that because it stated here that the event occurred within 26 seconds.
Mhm.
But if we do the math, and he actually does the math, he really means after.
this
It
is
means
the
the phone
effect
lock
you'll
event
have.
occurred 26 seconds after the end of the vehicle event as calculated.
That's right. The phone interaction happens how many seconds after the text stream event?
Based on this slide, 26 seconds.
Thank you. And the text stream event that we're talking about is what number?
1162-2.
And this slide, other than
Yeah.
the green, is this slide or the portion of the slide that
That's
we're
daddy's-
looking at, other than what you've described, is this directly from Mr. Welcher's own analysis or his PowerPoint?
Right. I added the green box around within, the dashed green box around the whole paragraph, the line, and the words after. Those are my additions.
Let's go to the next slide.
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to get this out of the way. Ah, you fucking dickhead.
in vocabulary if we could. When I say text stream event, have you ever heard that called a trigger event?
Yes,
Are those sort of synonymous? This or his PowerPoint.
right. I added the green box around within, the dash green box
Nobody
around the whole
likes the green
paragraph,
box,
the
though.
line, and the words after. Those are my additions.
Sorry,
Let's go to the
Mr.
next slide.
DESOGRA.
Can you tell us what this is?
This is more or less a repeat of what's on the first slide, but just shown with a little more focus. The first slide is a little busy. So what
I'm sorry, Mr. DeSogra, did you create this or is this from Dr. Welcher's report?
I created everything on this slide apart from in the top right. That came from Dr. Welcher's slide 33.
Although you created the slide, where's the data coming from for this slide?
All of the data on this slide and all of my subsequent slides comes from the Aperture reports collectively, either Dr. Welcher's report or slides or Mr. Burgess's first and second reports.
What did their analysis reveal in terms of the exact time of the lock event for Mr. O'Keefe's phone?
So in their analysis, in Aperture's analysis, they report the Lexus event 1162.2 ends at 12:31:43. And they also report there's a phone lock at 12:32:09. So if we just simply take the difference in those two times, we get 26 seconds.
If you were to add the 5 seconds back to 12:31:38, which is the actual trigger event, what would you come up with?
31 seconds.
Which of the two, in your expert opinion, which of those two numbers is more accurate as it relates to the trigger event?
If we wanted to conduct the analysis relative to the trigger, it would be better to use the actual trigger time. However, as long as we're consistent through the analysis, it's not entirely wrong to use the end. It would be wrong if I suddenly switched up and started talking about this relative to the trigger event, but they present it as the end of the event. So I conduct the rest of my analysis using that convention.
Is another word for the end of the event the end of the recording?
End of the recording, yeah. When I say event, what I mean by that is the data event, the data recording event.
But the trigger event itself, 12:31:38.
Correct.
Did you put a name on this gap, if you will, this time frame?
Yes, I did. For the sake of the rest of the analysis that I'm going to do, I thought it would be helpful to just refer to this difference in time as John's interaction window.
And that refers directly to the interaction with the phone, the human interaction of locking the
Shannon's
phone.
The
bullshit. window.
12:32:09 lock.
Overall.
Let's go to the next slide, please. What does this slide show us?
So this here, what I'm doing is I'm kind of laying out the bounds of what I mean in John's interaction window, which should make, we have a lot of numbers to go through here. And so this should give us a very easy metric for kind of determining whether we have an event before or after. So what I mean by that is when we calculate John's interaction window, if that number comes out and is positive, that means the phone interaction occurs after the end of the vehicle event. And if we calculate John's interaction window and that number becomes a negative value, then that means the phone interaction occurs before. So now we have just a convention we can use really quickly to say, is it positive or is it negative? And we can maybe spare ourselves some of the math with 1,000 numbers.
So positive means what? One more time.
Positive, John's interaction window positive means the phone lock occurs after the end of vehicle event 1162-2.
Got it. Let's go to the next slide, please.
You mean you can simplify
What does
data
this slide
too?
show us?
So what I'm saying here, I'm kind of laying the foundation for why we're going to even do this. Why do we need to start doing math on these clocks? So fundamentally, the phone, Mr. O'Keefe's phone, and the vehicle, Ms. Reed's vehicle, they're separate clocks.
Mhm.
And it's very unlikely that they're going to be aligned perfectly in time. Right? If I compared my watch to your watch, it would probably be off. And that's the same case for any two independent clock sources. So Aperture, in their collective reports, propose a number of different ways in which that can be corrected. So I'm going to go through all of those ways that Aperture has proposed and show if we align the clocks based on how they laid out, does John's interaction window stay positive or does it ever become negative? Where does it end up when we run all those analyses? Or another way to put it is, does the phone interaction always occur after the end of the vehicle event?
And what did you determine?
Based on the initial reports,
Yes.
the phone interaction always occurs after the end of the vehicle event.
So that's a negative.
Did all of the information that's on this slide come from the same source or multiple sources, meaning Mr. Burgess and Dr. Welcher?
In the PowerPoint as a whole, all the information comes from the Aperture reports collectively,
Okay.
from Dr. Welcher and Mr. Burgess.
Did Mr. Burgess make any adjustments from his original report to his subsequent report in May of 2025?
Yes.
Let's go to slide 6, please. Tell me about this slide.
Yeah. So this is the first adjustment we're going to talk about that was, and this one comes from Mr. Burgess's original report. And to summarize this adjustment, this is a key on timing adjustment. And we're going to show that the key on, the actual turning of the vehicle on, occurs about 3 seconds before that time gets registered in the infotainment. So the time we see is basically stale by 3 seconds.
We're all familiar with how computers turn on. When you say key on, do you mean a physical key, or could it be the push button to turn the car on?
In this case, it's a button. I refer to key on because generally that event is considered the key on in vehicle parlance, regardless of whether there's a physical key or it's a push button.
So those 3 seconds mean what? What's the difference between pushing that button and the 3 seconds later that you just described?
It means that when we're trying to use the timestamps that were recovered from the infotainment system that show when the vehicle was keyed on or turned on, that the vehicle was actually or likely turned on 3 seconds before that.
Do you know where the 3 second conclusion came from in Mr. Burgess's report?
It came from the testing that Aperture conducted with the exemplar Lexus that they purchased.
Was there anything in the report that indicated testing, this type of exact testing on Ms. Reed's actual Lexus?
No.
Do you have an opinion as to whether or not
Yeah,
all
makes
Lexuses,
sense. He makes
at least
sense.
of this make and model and year,
The
would have the
jury's
exact
gonna go,
same
"Oh, I
3 second
understand
delay?
that."
Or could that be different?
It could be different in their testing. In their testing, they only tested one exemplar vehicle. So I think there was a solid foundation that the exemplar that was used exhibited this 3 second delay. It was a very close match in terms of part numbers and software versions to Ms.
And
Reed's
it's not
Lexus.
different either.
But without any kind of testing of, let's say, a second vehicle, a second exemplar, we wouldn't know. We wouldn't have any basis to say it must be 3. We could test a second vehicle and it could be 5. So we say, well, there's a delay, but it varies vehicle to vehicle. They
Well,
could
like
have
an
tested a second
average of 4.
vehicle and found it's also 3. And then you start to build some confidence that maybe it is 3 across every vehicle. But with only testing one and not testing the subject vehicle, it is difficult to say with absolute certainty it would be 3 seconds.
What is your opinion about best practices with regard to trying to create this gap for purposes of coming to an opinion or an analysis?
So because we don't know whether or not this specifically would apply to Ms. Reed's vehicle, the best way to conduct that analysis would be to do the entire thing with the key switch adjustment at 3 seconds. Because if we're going to use a value, 3 is the most reasonable one because that's the one shown in testing. But we should also do the entire analysis without it in case we feel that that's the most appropriate. So in fact, that's what I do and will show is I ran the analysis both ways, with and without, to be as conservative as possible.
Did your review of Mr. Burgess's report indicate that he ran the analysis both ways?
He did not.
Let's go to slide 7. What are we looking at here?
This is an excerpt from Mr. Burgess's original report. His page 28 and his page, there's a screenshot also from his page 30 at the bottom. And this is where he states in that report that when they were doing the testing with the exemplar, they observed across 4 different key-on cycles this 3 second difference. So what I mean by that is they had a video camera in the car that had a timer on it. And so in the video, you can see the button pressed. So in their testing, for example, they pressed the button at 21:48:05, and that's sort of nailed down. When they went back and downloaded the data from the infotainment, the key on was logged in the infotainment as 21:48:08. So there's the 3 seconds. That's where they're getting that from. And that's what he states highlighted in red there. It's a little hard to read, but it basically says the average across 4 runs was 3 seconds.
The 3 second delay, was that actually in his report?
This is the only point in the report it's mentioned.
I guess what I'm asking, it was an artful question. The portion to the left, is that his report or your report?
That is his report. Everything on the left-hand side of this slide comes from Mr. Burgess's report.
So the 3 second delay was noted in his report?
It was noted.
Did he apply the 3 seconds in his analysis?
He did not.
Did he indicate in his report why he ignored that 3 second delay?
He did not.
I'll rephrase it.
Strike the answer.
Did he indicate in his report the reason that he did not apply the 3 second correction?
He did not.
When you do apply the 3 second correction, what do you come up with as it relates to the 26 seconds from the end of the recording?
So the positive 26-second window, if we only apply the 3-second key on, grows to positive 29 seconds.
If you applied the same 3 seconds to the trigger event time, now what does the gap?
That gap would grow to a positive 34 seconds.
Between the trigger event and what?
The phone lock.
In your opinion, was it best practice to not account for that 3-second delay between the on switch and the data coming on?
Sustained, ask me to.
What, in your opinion, would be the best practice in terms of this 3 seconds that was noted in the exemplar vehicle?
The best practice would be to run the analysis with that adjustment included and without that adjustment included. Because like I stated, without testing of an additional vehicle, we really don't know if the 3 seconds is just a specific behavior of that exemplar or if it's representative of all Lexuses of this type.
Let's go to slide 8, please. Tell us what we're looking at in this slide.
So now we're going to get into the next adjustments. That first adjustment we just talked about was really a vehicle-to-vehicle adjustment. We haven't talked about the phone yet.
That's
We're going to get
only
into
because you've missed a few days, Dylan. And there's a couple of them worth watching. One of them I actually had to demonetize myself because I was having a rage stream.
to the phone now and talk about aligning that. We had to get through the internal adjustment that has to get done first. Now we're going to look on the subsequent slides here at all of the different ways the Aperture reports compared the vehicle to Mr. O'Keefe's phone.
Is there any additional adjustment that you believe should be made?
The Aperture reports lay out 2 methodologies for adjusting. There is a methodology based on phone calls, and there's a methodology based on the 3-point term.
And where did you get that information from?
From the Aperture reports.
In Mr. Burgess's original report on differentiated, the January report, which did he use to determine his determination of the clock skew?
In his initial January report, he never actually takes the calculation to the end by applying the differences in times to the calculated time for 1162-2, but he does do the math, which I'll show, for the differences on these phone calls.
In terms of Dr. Welcher's report, did he identify a GPS point of 154 at all?
Yes.
How did he describe that GPS data point?
He describes in his initial PowerPoint slides as point 154 aligning with the end of vehicle event 1162-1, talking about a different event now. This is the 3-point turn event. So he uses that as an anchor point.
And that anchor point you said was the end of the text stream event, or the end of the recording of that text stream event.
Correct. The Aperture reports consistently reference everything from the end of the events.
Let's go to slide 9, please. What are we looking at here?
On the left is an excerpt of page 33 from Mr. Burgess's initial report. And what he shows here is he has identified 7 call logs that exist both in the infotainment from Ms. Reed's Lexus and in Mr. O'Keefe's phone. He puts them in a table form. Then he actually goes on and calculates the difference between those 2 times. So that's what I meant by he sort of does the math. He makes my job a little easier, and the numbers are already there. He just never applies these to any of the times. So that's where I step in and say, if I take that 3rd column that he lays out, those are in seconds. If I apply those seconds, that adjustment to 12:31:43, where do we end up with John's interaction window in those times?
What did you conclude in terms of finishing the work?
Sure, I did all of them. And so I highlight on this particular slide, I just highlighted the very first one he has in here. In that case, he identified that Mr. O'Keefe's phone was 2 seconds slow relative to the infotainment system. So if we apply only that adjustment, then John's interaction window becomes positive 28 seconds.
Did Mr. Burgess apply all of the potential offsets?
He didn't apply any of the offsets. He calculated all of them, but he didn't apply any of them.
Did you ultimately apply all of the offsets?
Yes, I did.
And what did you determine?
Regardless of which offset you apply, John's interaction window remains positive. The number changes, but it remains positive.
Let's take a look at those one at a time if we can. Let's have the next slide.
So on this slide, I just took the other end of the spectrum. There's a large range in values in this table. He doesn't actually, Mr. Burgess doesn't show the sign conventions on here, but actually
sign conventions.
Sign conventions, he doesn't show when he calculates the difference, whether it's positive or negative. All the numbers in the table don't have a sign, don't have a plus or minus in front of them, but there's an implication. Some of them are plus, some of them are minus. So the first one that we just looked at showed we had 2 seconds slow. There's another value in here that's on the other end of that. It shows that Mr. O'Keefe's phone is 21 seconds fast now relative to the infotainment. So that's the largest value in the table we could take that would bring John's interaction window down now. And so if we apply just that adjustment, John's interaction window becomes a positive 5.
Take a look at slide 11, if we could, please. What are we looking at here?
So I've shifted now from the phone calls, and now we're going to talk about the 3-point turn alignment. And the 3-point turn alignment is first presented in Dr. Welcher's slide from his presentation here. And in this, he doesn't say it explicitly, but he provides some math on the screen, which is a little hard to read. But he puts some math on the screen that shows he's aligning this 0.154.
All right, what do you reckon of this? For a t-shirt.
Or from Mr. O'Keefe's phone to the end of event 1162-1. This is the prior event. This is a 3-point turn.
Yeah.
And so he aligns,
Yeah.
he says this is basically how you align it. And he doesn't do the math. Again, he lays out that he says a 19.2 second difference.
Someone very
Actually
clever.
just adjusted
know
that
that.
to 20, which is the most conservative way to interpret that. I don't think we have the accuracy here to talk about tenths of a second. Nevertheless, I just rounded that up to 20. And when we apply that 20 seconds to our event 1162-2, then John's interaction window becomes positive 6. That's just applying this. We're not combining anything. We're just applying the difference shown in the slide.
And that positive interaction window, is that calculated based on information directly from Dr. Welcher's report?
Yes.
Let's go to slide 12. What are we looking at here? What is this table?
This is a table I made. We've talked about a lot of different approaches to how these clocks can be aligned and a lot of different variables. So I tried to summarize them in one table, put them all together, because some of them we can combine. We can combine the key on with either a phone call or a 3-point turn, but we can't combine, for example, a 3-point turn and a phone call. That's not valid. So I put all the possible combinations, all of them, with, without key switch, phone calls, and 0.154 on one table. And I calculated John's interaction window for all valid combinations from the aperture reports. And when we do that, the result is that regardless of what adjustment we make, all of the numbers are positive, meaning regardless of what adjustment we make, the phone lock event always occurs after the end of event 1162-2.
Did Mr. Burgess, in your review of his report in January 2025, did he ever undertake all possible offset calculations?
No.
In his May 2025 report, did he undertake all possible offset calculations?
No.
What is your opinion in terms of best practices regarding calculations of this sort?
I think if there's sufficient data, if there's testing or research or literature that in a specific case supports there is a best path or a best method, then we should use that. In this case, I don't think there is a best practice. There isn't any literature I'm aware of that would specify exactly the best path to align all of these. So in the absence of any external data to support one path, the most valid approach is look at all of them as a whole and then draw the conclusion from the totality of that data rather than cherry picking a single point.
Can you testify to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty whether all potential offsets that were described in Aperture's original report, January 2025, result in a positive interaction window?
Yes.
And what is that opinion?
Regardless of what adjustment or combination of adjustments we make from the original reports, John's interaction window remains positive.
Does the positive interaction window mean the lock event occurred after or before the text stream event?
It means the lock event occurs after the end of the text stream event, 1162-2.
You've already indicated that you received a second report, May of 2025, correct?
That's correct.
In that report, is there the same clock skew alignment or a different clock skew alignment that Mr. Burgess now undertakes?
Mr. Burgess undertakes a different alignment in that report.
Let's go to slide 13. Describe what we're looking at in this slide.
So what I have here on the left is a screenshot of page 42 from Mr. Burgess's supplemental report. And so now he's done two things new here. He's identified a new method for aligning the data based on the 3-point turn. So now he's kind of following where Dr. Welcher started, but he's approaching it a little differently. And secondly, he is now calculating the actual time. He's doing the difference calculation and he's applying that to the time. So now he's taking the calculation all the way through, which is a little different from the prior reports. And so when he does that, he makes my job really easy because I didn't have to do really any math now. He comes up that there is a range now. So prior to this point, the original report by Mr. Burgess and Dr. Welcher reports all used discrete points in time, right? They sought to find an event that occurs at a singular second and another event at a singular second and align based on that. This is a little bit of a departure from that approach. Mr. Burgess is now using a range of times, a range of uncertainty. He basically assesses that the 3-point turn data from the phone and the 3-point turn data in 1162-1 cannot be precisely aligned down to a single point. Rather, they overlap in this range of seconds. And so he then says that that range must be applied. So now we have to apply a range. And what we end up with is 9 possible values. So it kind of looks like one conclusion, but really there's 9 conclusions on this slide. And so if we just applying the math he has in the supplemental report, John's interaction window now has a range of 9 possible values. And that range spans from +5 now to -3. So we have 5 positive values. We have 1 value that's 0, and the 0 would mean it's simultaneous. And then we have 3 negative values.
Does Mr. Burgess indicate in his report that any one of those values is more likely than any of the other values?
He does not provide any data or analysis to support 1 point being preferential over the other 8.
And are there more or fewer positive results in his analysis than negative?
There are more positive numbers in that range of 9 than there are negative numbers.
Does Mr. Burgess's new data indicate anything about Dr. Welcher's analysis about the GPS data point 154 being at the end of the 3-point turn?
He opines in that aligning the 3-point turn on a singular point is not, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't know the exact way he states it, but not the preferred method.
Is Mr. Burgess's analysis consistent or inconsistent with Mr. Welcher's determination that GPS point 154 was at the end of the text stream event?
Objection.
Sustained.
Does Mr. Burgess in his report indicate whether he agrees or disagrees with Dr. Welcher's analysis?
I don't remember specifically.
In your opinion, I asked you about Mr. Burgess's report. Now I'm going to ask you about your opinion. In your opinion, is this new offset any more likely or reasonable than any other offsets previously proposed by Mr. Burgess?
I don't think it is more or less likely. I think it is a valid approach, certainly. And so I think the results from the additional analysis should be included with the analysis of all of the results so far.
And none of those results are more or less likely than any of the others, correct?
Sustained.
Are any of the results, in your opinion, to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, are any of the results any more or less likely than any of the others?
In my opinion, they're all equally weighted.
Did Mr. Burgess account for the 3-second offset that we talked about earlier in his May 2025 report, his new report?
I did not see any mention of that in his supplemental report, and certainly the 3 seconds isn't present in his math. I don't see it there.
Let's go on to slide 14, please. Describe what we're looking at here in this table.
This is very similar to the table we looked at previously, where I look at all possible combinations. Now, however, I just have a lot more data points to show, so I've had to break the table into two tables. So we're going to look at this, and we'll look at slide 15 next, which is the second table. I just couldn't cram 30 lines onto one slide.
Let's move to the next slide then. Is this a
So there's
continuation of
the second half. So think of these as a singular table. I just had to split them up. If we head back to slide 14, we'll start there. So this slide, I'm not accounting for the key on, and that's the main difference between my two tables. Table 1, I'm not accounting for the 3-second key on. In table 2, I am.
When you say key on, you're talking about that 3-second delay.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
But again, I want to make sure we're thinking about this as a singular table because that's where we'll draw our conclusions from. So the first lines of the table, we've already seen those. Those were in my original table. I haven't changed those. That's the same math that's been there. All I did was I added the 9 points now from Mr. Burgess's supplemental report using the range he shows. And so now we can see if we include that, now we get some positive numbers for John's interaction window. We get that 0. And again, the 0 would imply that the end of event 1162-2 is happening exactly at the same second as the phone lock. So it's kind of not on one side or the other. So I think it should be thought of as separate. And then we have 3 negative values, which would imply that phone lock occurs before the end of 1162-2.
And did you already mention the simultaneous, the one that was simultaneous?
When John's interaction window is 0, correct?
0.
That would imply simultaneity.
All right, is this 14 or 15? This 14, let's move to 15. Now, this is a continuation of that. Mentally, we'll just continue that same table?
Correct.
Okay.
Just a continuation. Imagine in your mind is just rows 16 to 30.
Okay.
And it's the same thing, same format, except for now we're just adding in that key on adjustment because, again, I think the analysis should be run with and without it. And so now when we run this with the key on adjustment, we get 14 of these 15 are John's interaction window is positive.
Me too.
To various degrees. And one of them, it's 0, again, simultaneous. And there are no negative values.
They, okay. There. Yes, I don't go anywhere ever unless it's a doctor's appointment or yeah. Why can't I get rid of that? Oh, there it is. There you go. Chat off the screen. So Tanya, he'll be on in a second, is avatar creator. So yeah. She designed from a photo, she designed all of those. So I've been using them on our thumbnails. Absolutely. Absolutely. We have a lot of fun here, actually.
Can we go to the next slide? 16, please.
I better put it back on. Hang on.
What are we looking at here?
This is the summary then of that table, kind of a verbal summary of the giant 30-line table now. And if we look at all of the possibilities from all of the Aperture reports collectively, we can draw some pretty straightforward conclusions. 25 of those 30 possibilities result in interaction with the
I'll
key
put the
phone
link in chat and you can copy
after
it.
the end of event 1162-2. Looking at all the possibilities, 2 of the 30 results in interaction where it's simultaneous. That's the 0s, they're present in both tables. And then looking at all 30, 3 of the 30 result in interaction with the phone before the end of event 1162-2.
Do you have an opinion as to which of these particular offsets that you've described, these 30 possibilities, should be applied in this case?
No.
Why is that?
Each of the approaches have their own individual strengths, and each of them have their own individual weaknesses. And there is not really any published literature, any research, or any testing done that I'm aware of that would suggest one really stands head and shoulders above another one of the methods. So I think the most fair way to present it is to look at, again, if we combine everything together, then we can draw some conclusions like this in terms of how many of the total result in one outcome or another.
Is every data point that we're looking at and that you've been talking about, are these all drawn directly from Aperture's reports?
That's correct. I have not proposed any methods for aligning the clocks myself. All of the methods that comprise these 30 are from the Aperture reports themselves.
Based on your analysis of the Aperture, or your review of the Aperture analysis, Is there any ability to say to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty that the tech stream event occurred after the last physical interaction with John O'Keefe's phone?
Yes, there would be three out of the 30 possibilities would result in that.
Do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty that it did happen after the tech stream event?
Okay. Sustain.
Of the 30, what's the percentage of possible events that occurred, possible scenarios, I should say, wherein the tech stream event occurred after the last interaction with John's phone? What's the percentage?
So that's sustain.
Ah, good. I was just about to say I can't
You said
post the
3 out
link.
of 30, correct?
I was going to
Yes.
say I'll
Is that 10%?
That is 10%.
Yeah, but Simi's not on Discord. I will drop it, but
What percentage is
I'll put it
3?
in
Just
there.
do basic math for me. What is the percentage between 3 and 30?
Sustain.
If I told you hypothetically,
I'm going to see you sidebar for a second.
leading. Did you did you get my last message in the group chat? Morning, fuckers. All right, that avatar picture is in the group chat. And I will copy and paste the channel, the Discord channel link. Sidebar swoop. Ah. But friends, not that bit. No. Stop. No, I don't want the role info. I want. I don't know. I really need to work out how to work this Discord, but I'm way better. I'm so crap at it. But that's I think that's our Discord link. You'll find out if you click on it. And I'm so glad I made these because they've really made it worthwhile.
Sidebar Swoop, it's in your sight. Like and subscribe. Oh, don't be shy.
We should have a Teresa, you'll have to tell Simi what our Timu.
following your analysis of the totality
Our
of the
Timu's
possible scenarios,
streams are.
did you come to a conclusion that the vast majority, let me rephrase that, did you come to any conclusion about the numbers as they relate to the positive interactions versus the negative? And when I say positive versus negative, I'm talking about the phraseology that you used. John's phone interaction being in the positive side versus John's phone interaction being in the negative side.
Yes.
And what were those?
Of the 30 possibilities, 25 of them, it's a positive. John's interaction window is positive for 25 of them.
And only 3 were negative?
Correct. Only 3 of the 30 were negative.
Have you got a photo link you can drop in chat if I give you a wrench? Because you can only do it with a wrench. Okay. Ta-da! Oh yeah, it's on my it's on the page, like the channel page. That was the second one. I'll see if I can find the first one now. Save it with me.
Okay, we
See
can
if I
take
can
that slide
find it.
down.
It was hysterical.
Is there a data recorder on the Toyota SUV that we've been talking about, that 2021 Toyota SUV 570, that's designed to record impact?
Yes.
What is that? What is that mechanism?
That would be the airbag control module,
The ACM?
ACM.
Did you look at that?
I was provided a copy of the download from the ACM.
What did the data recorder indicate, if anything, related to any impact on January 29th, 2022?
There were no recorded events whatsoever on the ACM.
Did the vehicle control history record whether there was any history of a collision
I'm
on
missing.
that car? Ever? What does
What
the
was the
vehicle control
ATM?
history record specifically?
It records a lot of operational parameters about the vehicle. What I mean by that is it records things like what the driver is doing, for example, steering wheel angle, accelerator pedal position, whether the brake is being pressed. It also records what the vehicle is doing, for example, speed or the engine RPM or the accelerations of it.
Does the text stream data event indicate that there's a, and I'm talking about very specifically the text stream data, does that indicate whether or not there's a collision in the car?
No.
Does the text stream data event mean that if you find a text stream data event or a trigger event, does that mean that the airbags are deployed?
No.
Does it mean that the vehicle impacted with something solid?
No.
Does it mean that the vehicle impacted with a pedestrian?
No.
You reviewed the raw text stream data associated with the entirety of Ms. Reed's vehicle, did you not?
Yes.
How many text stream events or triggers were found on Ms. Reed's vehicle during the course of the 8-month period prior to January 29th?
So can you narrow that, Mr. Jackson?
Sure.
I object to the whole line.
And I need to see what's up.
Was it done for the New Year's Griftathon? Oh shit, I haven't turned. Christ. I better go and I haven't turned on I haven't turned on monetization for all my older streams. I can't remember if it was. Yes, it was. All right. I got it. I got it. I got it. All right. I will video URL. So it was a New Year's Eve stream we did. And it's my first attempt at grifting. So, and I don't drink either. So I said to everyone, every $10 in or $5 in super chats, I would have a shot, and every $40, when we hit every $40 mark, I would let them open up my Temu account and let them choose and spend $10 on my Temu account. Oh my god, it was absolutely fucking hysterical. Absolutely hysterical. So that's the link to the stream. Oh, my hat's hanging up, but I got the funniest stuff. In fact, the wind cheater I got on that, the one it's sort of like that one side is covered in like blood stains, basically, and it says problem solved. I happened to be wearing that the other day when the cops came to the door to tell me they'd served my next door neighbour with my OVO. So my hat, where is it? I've got it up here. Have I? Oh no, I'm taking it off. Bugger. It says my yeast infection itches. Yep. Oh, it was so funny. I had my stomach was aching. Yeah, we do get a bit naughty. So we're halfway through another one, which we might do. Like we just try and do it when we've got time, either at lunch breaks or we can do it on Verdict Watch or somewhere to kill time. But it's hysterical. They get to choose the search topics and the shit that you come up with. Oh my god! Like what have I just opened it at? A personal douche, vaginal irrigation. Here you go. Oh dear. Oopsie. God, we laughed.
Entirety of Ms. Reed's vehicle, correct?
Too far, sorry.
little swoop, a sneaky little glide. The message is simple, like and subscribe.
Yep. When Tanya gets here. Oh, oops.
Mr. Jackson, how much longer? I'm just trying to figure out.
I'm wrapping it up, Judge.
Okay.
It's
Oh,
not very
really?
long.
You're gonna
A few more
fucking
questions.
rush him?
I'm not curbing you in any way. We just.
Oh
understand.
shit!
Respectfully, it won't be very much longer.
Fuck you, babe.
You reviewed the text stream data, otherwise known as the triggers,
I'll be back
for
in
the
2
entirety of
seconds.
the street vehicle, correct?
Yes.
How many trigger events did you find in the life of the car?
Not counting 1162-2.
Let's stop there.
Prior to 1162-2, there were 19 prior events.
And 19 total events, correct?
Correct.
And how many collisions were clocked by any recorder on that car?
None of the events were triggered by collision.
And last question, do any of the text stream events or do any of the data that you've reviewed, either yourself through Mr. Burgess's report, through Dr. Welch's report, do any of the data indicate that there was a collision on January 29th, 2022 at any time? Objection.
Ask it differently.
What did you find in terms of, I want to narrow this question to January 29th, 2022. What did you find in terms of any data regarding a collision?
Neither of the events that occurred on that date were triggered by collision.
Thank you. May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
Okay.
Drum roll. Hang on, have I got the sound effects? That was sound effect, but it wasn't a drum roll. Drum roll. Hang on, have I got the sound effects? That was sound effect, but it wasn't a drum roll.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Jurors, we're going to take. a
Let her
morning
rip
recess.
like defense rest.
I think that we need to do a divorce.
I'm going to pause here and say, well, yes, you fucking rock the defense rests.
Can I see counsel at sidebar to save us some time, please?
They said, hey, you have to open this via the secret method.
How the fuck are you supposed to know that?
Go. Chat. I am mildly to severely intoxicated, so.
Oh my.
Yeah, secret passage in the thing.
Yuri Buchanan is a credible witness.
For fucking up their investigation. Like, and this is the point I've made on Twitter before. How was I
Next time.
supposed to know to open up the secret passage
The ladies love some Alan Jackson. But they pay attention, they lock in. When frickin' Hank Brennan talks, just like the rest of us, what do we hear, Bibs? We hear things such as
Secret passage.
He is so fucking funny. So fucking funny. And the funniest thing was he was hammered. Absolutely hammered that day. And he turns up 5 hours into Rob's show. And he could not see Rob's reactions. It was so funny. And he then started on, did you see that the cross-examination of the Shannon Burgess? And Rob's like, yes, in depth. And he didn't hear him. He just kept going. And Rob was actually in the middle of going through the super chats at the end of his stream. And he pretty much wrapped it up straight away. It's so funny. Oh, look, we haven't even scratched the surface, Jenny. Yep. I'm trying to find. I'm sure I clicked where Miss Shorty showed that clip of mine on one of their Saturday. I'll find it. It was a Saturday. Hang on. Oh. Take the wrapper off the chocolate, Jody, before you eat it. Dipshit. I'll find Miss Shorty's. Where am I? Yeah, I happened to come into chat one day. And somehow the chat got onto the subjects of farts. And I told her about my popping my live stream fart cherry. Because it wasn't meant to be like that. I thought it was a one cheek sneak. And I had noise cancelling earphones on, so I didn't realise how large it was. So there was no disowning it. It had to be. So I gave myself a super chat for what was it, like creative incentives or something like that. Oh, boop. Boop. Hello, my lovely.
Hello, how are you?
Your mic. I don't think your mic's on.
Yeah, my mic is on.
Your audio's not very loud.
I know. I don't know what's wrong with it.
Pull it closer to your gob.
Yeah, probably that's
That's
could be a
better.
good idea. Yeah.
That's it. Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
is it? Oh,
Yep.
okay, cool. Yeah, I
I'm
been
just-
stuffing around with everything. Like,
Oh, good.
hang on. How's that?
That's better.
Is that better? Cool.
Yeah.
No,
I'm
but
just
it's not
trying
as
to-
loud. I don't know what's going on with it.
Oh, it's
I
just
thought
gone
stuff
back.
it- Is that okay?
It's sort of gone back to being a bit quiet.
I know, and I don't know what's wrong with it.
Mm-mm.
Hang on.
I'm just trying to find this. There it is.
How's that?
Oh, fucking hell.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yep. That's working. Mhm.
Okay, how's that now?
That's too low. Happy
low?
medium.
Okay, how's that now?
Bit
Bit
more.
better, bit better, bit
Bit
better,
more.
bit better, bit better, bit better, bit better,
Yes.
better.
Yep.
Right, cool.
All right, I found it.
Hi, everybody.
Everybody, this is Tanya. This is Miss Shorty's.
I think that there are basic things, and this is one of the things that we've started to tackle on our podcast more and more because it keeps coming
Let him rip,
up.
Bluebird. Let him
Everyone
rip.
we speak to, every psychiatrist, everybody's like, guess what? your mind and your body are
Look at mine.
connected. And the things that we feed
Yes,
ourselves
look at
on a
my
daily
shot.
basis, I don't think are
there
always
we go, hang
serving
on.
our mental capacity. And I don't mean to be
The
this lady,
reactions
but like
are
we eat
gold.
massive amounts of sugar and processed food, like massive. Like when I
Yeah,
look at
Jenny.
those fancy coffee places, you're just drinking
Oh
sugar.
my
You're drinking like fuel. You're drinking caffeine and sugar. And I'm not judging people who do, but I'm just thinking all the things that we're taught, I think are possibly putting us in a place
I don't know how
of
she
a
does it with the
vigilance
laptop.
of our nervous system that we may not even sort of be realizing. So that's sort of like one category, which is a bit.
Okay, let's listen to the defense rest part on demand. Share this tab in.
I wish I had recorded that one you did at my place in front of Ricky. Wish you could record smell.
Mhm.
I was wondering which one it was, and then I saw the one that said
Drum roll.
real sound effects on demand.
On demand.
Drum roll. Hang on, have I got the sound effects? That was sound effect, but it wasn't a drum roll.
Was that a fart?
Drum roll. Hang on, have I got the sound effects?
That was a fart?
That was from the deep, that one.
That was sound effect, but it
Just
wasn't a
kept
drum
playing, it
roll.
was so funny.
Yikes,
The
man.
bubbler.
Bubble and a
Yeah.
half.
Yep. Because yes, I was actually looking for sound effects. Because Una had
Wasn't
forgotten
quite a
the
drum
time.
roll joke.
No, it wasn't. It was close, but bum roll maybe. Uda had come on, and it was when the Cementilli verdict had come down, and we weren't covering that trial. So he said, "Can I post the verdict?" I said, yeah, no worries. And he said, "Oh, I feel like I need a drum roll now." So I stopped, and I was actually looking for my drum roll sound effect. I thought, oh, well, while I'm here, I'll just let one slide. No one. I couldn't hear it because I had it on. So I had to own it. Yeah. Yep.
That's what I was saying the other night. Jodie was at my place and she's sitting on the bed and my fiance sitting up the other end. And I'm just getting my last things ready to go out with Jode. And she let this one rip. Oh my God, it was, and like, it was all right. I was trying not to laugh because Ricky doesn't really like girls farting. He always has a crack at me.
Old school.
Oh, and then I smelt it. Oh my God. And I just went, it was horrid. It was bad. And then she blames Tarek, my cat Tarek.
Yeah.
Now, what? But Loki's the one that's wrong, mate. You got the wrong cat. And Ricky said, he said to me later, he said, I wasn't moving. And I'm just trying to keep a straight face. And we got in the car and we just must have laughed for 20 minutes before we went anywhere.
Well, I didn't realise that he got a fit. Well, women don't fart, and I'm just like casually just going. It was bad though, and it's going to be shocking later on tonight because I've been eating your cheese snacks, lactose intolerance. So sorry. Yes, to answer, it's 2:20 here. Yep.
In the morning, yes.
Yes, 2:20 a.m.
Did you just do
hear
another
that
one?
Oh, come on!
Yes, I did.
Cheese is working.
Well, that's like the other day I was really upset, like for the whole night about something else.
Just
And
play
then the
my
next
smart
morning-
video. The next morning,
after I was really upset about something else, not
Mm.
or anything, not Ricky or anything, and so I sat down on the bed just as he's woken up, and I've let one rip.
Oh,
oh my God! And he has his normal crack about it, and I freaking went off, man. I said, "Just shut the fuck up! I'm sick of it." He didn't know what to do, man. And then I farted today right in front of him. And I've looked at him
Loud one?
like this going, oh, and he said, I ain't saying nothing, he said.
You just start to pull my finger.
Yeah, quick, pull my finger, yeah.
Get him to grade it. Out of 10? Yeah.
Yeah, out of 10, what do you reckon?
You've got
the sound and smell.
sound, length, depth.
Smell. Depth. Oh, yeah, depth is important.
Yeah. Mhm. Oh, this came up too. Hang on one sec. We interrupt today's broadcast with the news from our sponsors. Wait, what? We don't have not a sponsor? Oh.
No sponsors?
I just wanted to say a special thank you. You know why. Love you guys. Mwah. You can't see the banner. Hang on, I have to take the banner off. Hang on. Oh, where's it?
Oh, that isn't one. See, I've got to change my eyes to green too. My eyes are not brown.
Oh, yes, I haven't changed that.
I've changed yours.
Sorry about that. Not really.
I did that in bed one night. Woke, smell like my husband. I said, "My God, what the thing is that I blame the dog?"
What was that?
I used to have Bull Terrier that I inherited from my brother when he divorced his wife. So and Bellamy, he was a gorgeous dog, but you couldn't feed that dog canned food because it was just so rotten. And my dad knew Bellamy as well because when he used to go visit Stephen or if Stephen visited Dad, he'd always take the dog, right? And then when I had him, the dog's there and Dad's sleeping in the spare room and Bellamy decides, oh, I'll go sleep under the bed with Dad. I know Dad. And he let rip all night. Dad nearly died. Well, she blamed the cat.
Yeah, I did. All right, we're back.
You just blamed the wrong cat, otherwise Ricky might have fallen for it. It's Loki. Oh, because we've got one of them automatic cat
Mr. DeSogra, I'm going to ask.
where once the cat does the poo and buries it, after 5 minutes it'll turn around and dump it into a thing down the bottom in a plastic bag. It's really great. You only have to clean it out with 2 cats once every 2 or 3 days, and then just empty the bag and change it, and then about once a month you clean it. And now we've moved it up in the bathroom now near our bedroom instead of in the main area. I know, mate, Loki went to the toilet yesterday morning and I think we both got up immediately and went out to the kitchen. It was so bad. That cat is wrong.
Is that better or we're taking up too much of the...
Yeah, and I think we've got to be up at top and bottom. Who the hell's... Oh, that's Elizabeth. Is that your hubby and you, Elizabeth? I was thinking, Elizabeth doesn't look like this, does she?
All right.
Ask that you keep your voice up because we're going to try and keep the air conditioning on and the fans. It's a little stuffy in here. So if you just speak directly into the microphone, that would be great.
No problem, Your Honor.
Thank you.
May I proceed?
Please.
No, fuck off.
Good morning, sir.
Oh, so this is the cross of this
Sir,
guy?
are you trying to offer an opinion suggesting that Miss Reed's Lexus never hit John O'Keefe on January 29, 2022?
Is that I'll allow it.
Is
Is that
that
what you're doing?
Is that your opinion?
No, sir.
Are you offering an opinion that Miss Reed's Lexus never got in a collision
You're
before?
a fucker.
Oh, it is.
I hate you.
The way I stated it was none of the prior events were triggered by a collision.
What I'm asking you, are you offering an opinion that Miss Reed's Lexus never got into a collision before January 29, 2022 or on that day?
No.
So when you were talking about collisions to the jury, you weren't making any suggestion that that Lexus was not in a collision, are you?
Well, we'll
I
need
think
a
you
picture
threw a
of
double
you,
negative in
Jenny.
there. Can you just clarify what you meant? Yeah.
You are not suggesting to this jury that Miss Reed's Lexus did not ever get in a collision before?
No.
Okay. You're just saying that there's no data on the text stream.
That's what I was going to look up.
Specifically, none of the events were triggered by a collision. That's
Text stream data can be triggered by a number of different things other than a collision. Isn't that true?
correct.
And in fact, when you talk about text stream data, you know that text stream data does not record a collision. You know that.
A collision is not one of the triggers. That's correct.
Right. So when you were saying it wasn't triggered by a collision, it's never going to be triggered by a collision ever on text stream data.
Not the collision in and of itself, correct?
Right. Right. So there's other things that will trigger text stream data,
Correct.
like sudden acceleration.
Depends what it's
The
set up
only
for.
acceleration trigger that I'm aware of on text stream is if there's a large acceleration during what Lexis calls a PCS or a pre-collision safety event. But a large acceleration on its own, I do not believe is one of the triggers.
Are you sure you know a lot about text stream data?
Yes.
Oh,
You know a lot about text stream data?
you're a
Yes.
And you're saying that
Oh
if a
my
car accelerates
God.
over 30% in and of itself wouldn't initiate a trigger?
I'm not sure I understand.
You just said pre-collision is the only time sudden acceleration, from your perspective, would cause a triggering event. Now, I'm asking you,
I'm allowing this.
I'm asking you,
See? She's a
if
cunt.
someone accelerated Miss Reed's Lexus at over 30% acceleration, would that cause a triggering event?
I am not sure what you mean by 30% acceleration.
Accelerator, 30%.
Accelerator pedal.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of triggers. There's a number of ways that these VCH events can be triggered based on the accelerator pedal angle. I think, is that, yeah.
And what is the percentage from your experience that would create a triggering event?
There's various. Toyota, Lexus calls it high, medium to high is what they put it.
Do you have a number? You know the actual data on what percent? of
Each
pressing
one is
accelerator
different,
on
Ed.
The same Lexus as Miss Reed would create a triggering event. You know.
Off the top of my head, I don't know the exact percentage down to this percentage point. No.
There is something different than the texturing data. That's the EDR data, correct?
Yes.
You would not expect, it would get abnormal for the EDR to register data based on a side swipe between a 6,000-pound Lexus and a 216-pound person, wouldn't it?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
That would be abnormal to register that data in the EDR, wouldn't it?
I don't know if I would use the word abnormal, but I would state it that there's a minimum threshold to record in the EDR, and a pedestrian impact generally wouldn't meet that.
I'm sorry.
A pedestrian impact generally wouldn't meet that, but I don't want to make a blanket statement as if it's always the
You're
case.
saying it would meet that.
Would not.
Would not. And a side swipe or a clip has less force and impact than a head-on collision, depending on the speed, correct?
Generally, yes.
I hope you've done your homework, Brennan.
When you are discussing the triggering event, that is the moment that something registers to the car to capture data in the text stream, correct?
Correct.
So if I was to suggest 30% of depressing the accelerator pedal would cause a triggering event,
It's true.
would the triggering event be when it reaches 30%?
Yes.
The event data captures potentially part of an event, doesn't it?
I think we're into semantics a little bit. I think it depends on what you mean by event.
Exactly.
Because previously we'd been talking about an event as the data, but event can mean a lot of other things.
If an event's only 3 seconds long and 10 seconds of data is captured, then the data will capture more than the event, correct?
Correct.
If the event is longer, 15 seconds, 20, 25 seconds, and the data is only captured for 10, the text stream data only captures part of the event.
Correct.
Fair to say?
Very fair.
So when you're looking at the data, it doesn't tell you about the entire event, correct?
The data only tells us about the window of time the data captures. There's no way to know beyond that from the data.
All of your equations and pluses and minuses and graphs you're talking about deal with the 10-second text stream data that was captured, correct?
They deal with event 1162.2, right, and the 10 seconds it's comprised of. Actually, they really just deal with the end of the event. That's what everything in the Aperture reports reference.
Fair enough. But it doesn't deal with anything that could potentially happen after those 10 seconds, does it?
No.
No.
Or anything before.
No.
No, it does not.
The triggering event is spot in the middle, captures 5 seconds before, 5 seconds after.
Approximately 5 seconds. It's not exact.
And you'd have to look
And that's
elsewhere
got
for
dash
evidence to
cam
know
that
what
put
might
in.
have happened before. Yes?
Correct.
And you'd have to look elsewhere for evidence to see or determine what happened after.
Yes.
And your point?
Do you know at the end of this triggering event, that 10-second window of data, do you know what happened with the defendant's Lexus after that 10-second of data?
No.
You have no idea, right?
I don't.
Has it been submitted as evidence?
Okay.
Does anyone know? Fuck me.
I wanna
Exactly
just
right.
ask you
And he's
some
not avoiding the
questions
question.
about your background and then leading into this case, if I could.
You sure do.
You have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree.
Oh,
That's correct.
Yes,
You've
I do.
worked for your company for some time.
Coming up on 13 years next month. Correct.
Mhm.
You've advanced through the company.
Yes.
You presently are the director of engineering.
Yes.
Are you ACTAR certified?
Wait.
No.
What is ACTAR?
ACTAR is a body
is
that basically
Piece of shit.
offers a certification in accident reconstruction.
Do you offer services as an accident
Mm-hmm.
reconstructionist?
Sometimes.
And you have been hired and come into court and offer opinions?
Juan, look at you, and I know that you are an idiot.
As an accident reconstructionist?
In the singular time I've testified in court, it was not specifically for accident reconstruction. It was data analysis.
Okay. You continue your education and you go to a number of different trainings and seminars as well as teach, correct?
Regularly.
And when you regularly go to continuing education, you have quite a bit of continuing education. that
He
you've been
runs
through,
the
haven't you?
seminars.
Sorry?
You've been through quite a bit of continuing education.
Yes.
You focus as part of your specialty on EDRs, don't you?
That's correct.
Event data recorders.
Correct.
In fact, when you promote your services, that's one of your real specialty, isn't it?
Correct.
It is.
And it's something that not only are you schooled on and you go through continuing education, you're well published, aren't you?
That's correct.
And in your publications, you speak primarily about EDR type information.
Yes.
And that's something
26
you are
papers.
well skilled in, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, forensics or data forensics is a wide field, isn't it?
It is.
And you can do some things or many things in it. But oftentimes people specialize in parts of data forensics, don't they?
Generally, yes.
Well, speaking of you, you specialize in EDRs, true?
Yes.
Yes.
There is a difference in different subspecialties, isn't there?
In general,
Oh, yes.
yes.
Okay. Now, are cell phones, is that a subspecialty in digital forensics?
Yes.
Is that something you're a specialist in?
No.
Has he claimed to be?
iPhones.
No.
Are you a specialist in iPhones?
No.
Is Jan man?
Have you ever taken
No.
any specific training on mobile forensics?
No.
Have you ever written any papers on mobile forensics?
No.
Hey, have you ever promoted
Can we ask this set of questions to his fucking witnesses? Because this is irrelevant bullshit.
yourself
Yeah,
as
you got
having any type of
PhD, specialised.
subspecialty as an
Published
expert
26
in mobile
times.
forensics?
Never.
In any of your continuing education, and you have a vast amount, have you ever taken any classes or seminars in mobile forensics?
No.
Have you ever have you ever dressed up as fucking Santa Claus? You may as well ask that because that's how irrelevant it is. You fuckwit.
Have you ever taken any class or study about variances between
So I'm going to delete the two pics out of
infotainment
Discord now,
systems and mobile forensics?
Oh, thank you. You delete
Classes?
that chat.
Have you ever attended any seminars on variances relative?
Did you say you're deleting that link in chat?
Oh, in chat. Is that what we've got? Do you want pictures left in
I don't want the link. No one else needs the link when she puts it in. Like, if you copy the link when Jenny puts the link in for the pic.
I just used the link and I've grabbed them out of Discord or wherever it was.
Oh, it's in Discord. Is it?
So you
That's
put them in
fine.
Discord.
That's fine. That's fine. If it's in Discord, that's fine. I just didn't want it in chat here for everyone to see. That's all. All good.
Mobile
yeah, come up
forensics.
as a notification.
No.
Have you ever testified about variances in mobile forensics before you testified in this court today?
No.
Have you ever published anything to do with
So do we.
variances in mobile forensics?
Oh my God.
No.
What's this to do with mobile phones?
In this case, you had an opportunity to review a number of
No wonder I have a rage stream
reports
the other day.
from Dr. Judd Welcher, yes,
Yes.
and Mr. Shannon Burgess.
Correct.
In reviewing those reports, you've offered your opinions and analysis. Did you ever engage in
Mr.
actually
Shadman.
any efforts or study in this case to obtain data?
Could you maybe clarify what specifically you're asking?
Yes. Did you ever yourself, not watch someone else do it, did you ever download or obtain data in this case?
No.
Did you ever test Ms. Reed's car?
No.
Did you ever get an exemplar vehicle to run any tests?
I did not.
You don't need it when you've got the EDR.
Did you ever do any actual testing in this case?
No.
And so your role is to look at other people's work and offer opinions and criticisms, basically.
And provide some clarity to the work, but generally, yes.
Clarity for who? Who asked you to provide clarity?
My clients in this case.
You what?
Mr. Jackson, my client.
Did you ever speak to me?
No.
Why would he? Who'd want to?
Who'd want to? At least he probably didn't charge him 400 grand.
As an expert, when you analyze data, whether
I was
you
stabbing
actively
myself in
got it
the
yourself or
eye with
not, do you ever give an opinion in paper called a report? You ever write a report?
Yes.
And you've seen reports in this case that you've looked at, correct?
Correct.
A number of reports by Mr. Burgess.
Yeah.
Correct.
Wait, number
Report
one.
by Dr. Welcher.
Number
correct.
two.
Reports that you're critiquing, right?
Correct.
Did you see Ian Whiffin's reports?
It did not.
How about Jessica Hyde? Did you see her reports?
No,
You were asked to consider information from Mr. Whiffin's report.
Oh, well, what do you
No.
do?
Well, you were asked to assume that the last user interaction on John O'Keefe's cell phone was 12/32/09.
That was
what in the
stated
report.
in Dr. Welcher's report, so
Yeah.
I started my analysis at
Yeah.
that level.
So none of the information did you actually personally go and vet or analyze or make a
Right.
determination
That's his
about?
job.
You're just critiquing written reports.
Hey.
Correct.
The pink mouse and it was in his
As
ear.
an expert coming into court and testifying and having opinions, you put together a PowerPoint, didn't you?
Yes.
Why didn't you ever put together a report to share the basis of your opinions and the process you went through to arrive at your opinions before you came into court?
Because he was testifying to it.
Primarily, I wasn't asked to, so I didn't do it. I wouldn't commission work without being asked to do it. And number
Not
two,
much, Jen, man.
the extent of my work beyond building the PowerPoint was just basic addition, just adding numbers together that already existed in the Aperture
You need
reports.
to move the
So
closed
there
captions over.
wasn't a
Joe.
tremendous amount of complexity to what I engaged in.
What about your work product and your calculations? Did you do all this in your head or did you type it out and go through a computer program? How did you do it?
I used
No, put him back up
a calculator
there, but just
for most of it,
further up,
and the tables
Hang on.
in my PowerPoint
Get
were
it back.
generated in Excel, which has some calculation capabilities.
Were you ever asked not to write a
Put
report?
him back up where
No.
they were, but just
You had provided an initial PowerPoint
grab them.
Yes.
and then you received information from Mr. Burgess
Yes,
and then you added new slides to your PowerPoint.
that's correct.
Mr. Burgess's report was May 8th.
Yes,
You provided your PowerPoint on May 25th.
correct.
Did it take you that long for the calculations between when you got the report and May 25th to put together
Bloody cats.
the new presentation?
No, it didn't.
Why did you wait until May 25th to provide the new information?
That's when I was asked to do it.
What do you mean by that? I just want to see what the date is today. Today's the 30th. When you finished your PowerPoint on May 25th, did you send it to the defense on May 25th?
Yes, I did.
But they had a copy of your PowerPoint on May 25th. Don't be shy.
No, I'm pretty sure it was the 25th.
So it's sustained.
Hey, she's
Um,
saying something. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, if it wasn't the 25th, it would have been maybe the day after, but it's dated the 25th. I'm almost positive I
No,
provided it
don't
on the
think
25th.
it's her
Yeah.
or Cece me. It's the next door neighbours.
No, I
Chrissy's
think it was the
that
25th.
come and eat their food.
No, I don't.
In the 25th report that you provided to the defense on the 25th, it had new information, didn't it?
It had the information from Mr. Burgess's supplemental report. That was the additions.
Why did you wait until the 25th to put it together?
That's when I was asked to do it.
Who asked you?
My clients, Mr. Jackson,
He said, please
I had
ask
to wait
the
to see
25th.
what Mr. Welch
we had a
to
phone
say.
call on the 25th and discussed Mr. Burgess's supplemental report. During that phone call, he asked me to update the presentation, and I did so, and then provided it.
How did the date of the 25th come about? Why the 25th was the date provided?
That's when he requested it. I think it was a Sunday, actually.
Now was the Sunday? Was the 25th a Sunday? We better find out. You'll have him up for bloody perjury.
When you first got involved in this case, it was last fall.
Correct.
And
was
at that
Sunday, that's
time,
right.
you received some information that Mr. Burgess wanted to look at the text stream data or the different modules on what you later learned was the defendant's Lexus, correct?
Correct.
And there was a proposal from Mr. Burgess. Mr. Burgess wanted to go back to the car and look at the modules to try to download more information from them, correct?
Correct.
And you then got involved to look at what his request was, the procedure that you wanted to follow.
Yes.
When you did that, were you given any materials about what had happened before you and Mr. Burgess both got involved?
I don't recall specifically, and I don't think so. I think I was just provided the notice of testing that was to be done.
Well, you ended up drafting an affidavit.
I did.
And in drafting an affidavit, you pointed out some oversights of Mr. Burgess, didn't you?
I did.
Determining the oversights required some study of actually the data and the information that was available, wouldn't it?
It would.
So, can we presume that before you wrote the affidavit pointing out the oversights, you had looked at other materials?
If I recall correctly, the notice of additional testing from Mr. Burgess contained attached to it a whole report by him documenting why he thought there was an inadequate initial acquisition, why he thought the sizes were wrong. So I don't remember referencing anything beyond all the information that was contained in that. And whether that was combined by somebody else or not, I don't know. That's how it was provided.
Did you end up looking at the report of Ms. Gaffney and what had happened in the past with the download and search of Ms. Reed's Lexis materials?
If I'm remembering right again, I think Ms. Gaffney's report was also attached to that same singular file.
You learned that the defense expert, Ms. Gaffney, had downloaded data from chips, correct?
Correct.
And Mr. Burgess was asserting that there was information missing and believed that there was missing information from the chips.
Correct.
In that form, it's sustained.
It's stricken.
It's stricken.
My apologies. The conclusion Mr. Burgess had is that he believed there was missing information from the chips.
He did. He miscalculated the size of the chips.
Did you do any study to see if there was actually information missing from the original download?
No, I looked at the data sheets for the chips and then immediately realized what the error was. The data sheets specify a size in megabits or gigabits, and Mr. Burgess had written his report in the context of megabytes and gigabytes.
And then you asserted, or you took the position in your affidavit, that there should be no further chip off, no further study of those chips, other than to ensure the amount of memory was sufficient.
It's not how I recall specifically what I said.
Well, let me read it because I don't want to try to align your words.
Please.
Mr. Burgess' proposed protocol labeled "We attempt chip-off acquisition is unnecessary because the file size of the acquisition performed by Ms. Gaffney already matches the expected memory storage capacity of the components."
That sounds accurate.
If you want to see this, I don't want to read from the document. You can see if it actually, just let me know.
That's fine. I trust your reading.
However, an acquisition may be conducted for the sole purposes of ensuring the contents of the memory chips have not been altered since the last testing by recording the checksum.
Yes.
Did it cross your mind at that point that there was important data in those modules that was not seen or recovered or obtained by Ms. Gaffney?
No.
Did you want to know when Mr. Burgess was looking for more data, more information, what he thought was missing?
He stated, I think in his report or affidavit, I'm not sure what it was, but he stated what he thought was missing was there was a physical size difference. So he thought there was not corrupt data, but just missing chunks of data.
Log on information, you've heard of that. Ignition on, ignition off information
Yes.
in an info gaming system. That's important information when you're reconstructing an accident, isn't it?
It could be.
Well, you read information in this case. It's pretty important in this case, what you said.
Yes.
And so you would not want to engage in that process without this pretty important information, would you?
Which process?
On an accident reconstruction?
Sorry. So can you restate it? The whole question?
I'll
Yeah.
ask it again.
Yeah.
You said you have some experience in accident reconstructions.
Yes.
Don't you want all the data available? More data the better?
Generally, yes.
You wouldn't want to ignore data on purpose, would you?
No.
I forgot to close my bedroom window.
The more you get to look at.
Yes.
That's what I thought it might have been.
The power log on information that actually has date and time is critical in an accident reconstruction, isn't it?
Aha.
In some accident reconstructions, in some, there's no debate about when a vehicle was on or off, but if there is, then yes.
Not just on and off. The power log
Oh,
on
yeah.
and off gives you the date and time. that you can match with the connection.
I hate shopping.
Yes, it does.
You know, factory data itself doesn't have
Yeah,
that
I've
time.
already brought them all up.
It can, this
I like
vehicle didn't.
one better. Yeah. Katie would like to smack the neighbours in general. No, you
Yep.
need to get her to smack you so that she goes to jail and doesn't get out.
I just want to see a copy of this bloody AVO. Because I requested 50 to 100 meters of my residence, so I want to see if they actually put it in it.
Yeah, see, when I did mine with my ex, it was like 100 meters from anywhere I am, and it
Yeah.
named our rental property, our house, where I live,
Oh,
where he
I don't-
lived. Like,
I don't go anywhere but home, so
yeah, no.
yeah. I don't go shopping. Everything I do is online. I don't leave the house
Yeah.
unless I have to.
Yes, you do. I come and get you.
I know that's what I said earlier. I said I don't leave it unless I absolutely have to, and Tan can take me.
Pick me up.
Yeah, now I just got to fight that freaking red light camera I got when we went to get out. Oh, I should have done the time before. That's bullshit. That set of lights is bullshit. Anyway.
Can you order the photo online? Like, can you have it? Can you view it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think so.
All right.
It can, but this vehicle did not.
This had a running time instead.
That's correct.
So this data that was not found during the initial process, that was critical data at the time.
That Jarlsberg is delicious.
I don't think prior to the process
isn't it good?
anyone knew that this particular Lexus infotainment system stored those key on and key off times.
Right. The only person that found this out was Shannon Burgess.
He found it in the process, but I don't think anybody knew in advance of this case. There was nothing out there about it. So to my knowledge, this is the first time that this specific data has ever been released into the wild.
But it was on the board there. Someone knew what to look for or got creative. They could maybe find it.
Yeah, you can't trust the main.
Yes, more so to your if got creative, because I don't think anyone would have been able to have the foreknowledge that there would have definitely been that.
Shannon Burgess did.
Sustained.
He looks cuter than any of his other pictures.
And when Shannon Burgess went to obtain that data that everybody else overlooked or didn't know about, you went with him.
Yes.
So you had a process where he was going to now control the data and take the information that was left behind and remove it from the infotainment board, correct?
He actually never specified anything about the SD card in that initial notice. So it was a departure from his protocol, and it was a little surprising to me when I got there that the protocol was written with a specific focus on a number of other chips. And it became very apparent to me very quickly that the focus was not on those chips, and the focus was on this SD card that had previously been unmentioned. There was nothing in there about that prior to that.
Did it offend you, or were you impressed that he had found that?
I was a little confused because I went into it with an expectation. Generally, if we write a protocol, we adhere to the protocol. If we're going to deviate, we have a discussion about deviations. So I was just surprised. It's not customary to sort of shift out of nowhere. But other than that, I did not know what to think of it because I'd never heard of that.
Did you give any input? Did you have any knowledge about the SD card and how it worked?
No.
So when you watched Mr. Burgess remove the SD card, did you appreciate he'd have to engage in what you call reverse engineering?
He did not elaborate to me exactly what his whole process was at first. It sort of came out as time progressed through the first day
100%.
in his office in Texas. And then I learned more as we moved to the second testing in
because they gave him
Massachusetts. But he didn't explain it to me in one go.
Did you, at that point, understand or appreciate the relevance of the SD card relative to the infotainment system and what it could do as far as the amount of information that could then be available?
He never spoke throughout the 3 days at all about what kind of data he expected from the card or would be on the card or could be. He made no mention of the data.
Not what he said to you, but given your expertise, did it ever dawn on you the significance or importance of this SD card that was sitting in plain sight? Objection.
Sustained. You can ask him to.
Did it ever dawn on you as Mr. Burgess was recovering this information left behind that there was something important or significant about it?
I wish freaking Brennan.
At the time, I thought it was a possibility. If you reference the initial work, a number of different memory components where I
What?
Oh, Brennan's not close enough to the microphone a lot of the time. You can hardly hear him.
I don't want
Oh,
to
gosh.
fucking hear him.
And that, no, I know, but you need to hear the freaking question, don't you? Like, and this guy's
really, no.
perfect volume. And oh, stop that! Actually, I just want to screenshot that one. Hang on, 2 seconds before you go anywhere. That is.
It is a good one, actually.
It is. Yeah, you stop right there at the right moment.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The reaction to Special Prosector Brennan.
There we go. Thank you. Keep going.
Yeah, I did it too.
identified in this infotainment, there isn't a singular memory chip. So if we're looking for data, it could be in any of them. So we found a new source of data storage, and there could be something there. There could be nothing there. It was unknown to me.
But it turned out there was.
There was.
Now, when you were watching Mr. Burgess work as an expert, if you felt like there was something inappropriate or he had some great oversight, you could write a report about that, didn't you?
I could.
Did you ever write any report in this case?
No.
So you never wrote a report
It wasn't
for your
asked to.
preparation of coming in and your data in the PowerPoint presentation, right?
God.
Correct.
You never wrote a report regarding any of your observations of Mr. Burgess.
Correct.
You said that he didn't say anything. He spoke to you quite a bit during the process, didn't he?
He did.
He showed you what he was doing.
He did.
He explained to you what he was doing.
He
None of that
explained
was
the
under
process.
question.
I think you had asked me earlier about whether he explained the data, and he didn't.
he demonstrated great proficiency, wouldn't you say?
No. He lied on his CV.
He ended up with a successful acquisition of the card at the end of the process.
When you are considering all your equations, did you consider the timing information taken from the SD card that Mr. Burgess found regarding power on and power off of that car?
Yes, to the extent that he considered it in his own report. Again, I'm referencing his report.
But how about you? You're coming in here giving an opinion saying what's better or best practice or right. How about you? Did you consider, you personally, the one who's giving the opinions, did you consider the significance of the power on, power off data as it relates to all these
Not
times?
sure.
Yes.
Yes, you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I considered it. If that's the question is, did I consider it? I considered it.
Did you do any study yourself?
No.
Because I didn't want to rack up a bill of $400,000.
Now, we agree, or you agree, that there are variances between different devices.
Yes.
So a Lexus clock that comes from the infotainment system is very common that it would be different than a different device like an iPhone.
He said that at the start. Were you not listening?
Specifically, this Lexus, I don't know if we can make the statement that it's common or not, because again, this is the only time that I know of that this specific data has been analyzed. So I don't know the answer to that question.
Did you say on direct examination that variances between devices are common?
Variance between devices are common.
In a variance of 45 seconds, that wouldn't be remarkable on
No.
different devices. It's common in the industry.
Correct.
And in your business, that's an accepted amount.
I'm not sure what you mean by accepted. The amounts are what they are, and we have to correct for them. I've done analyses of clocks that are anywhere from completely correct, 1 second off. I've done analyses of clocks that are 25 years apart. So it's a wide range of
I
possibilities.
understand your point.
Yeah.
If you see as an analyst a 45-second variance or 30-second variance, that wouldn't shock you, would it?
No, you allow for it.
No amount of variance would shock me, is the answer.
Good on you.
I want to
See,
ask you
at least he's not
questions
avoiding
through
it.
your PowerPoint.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you your specific opinions and how you arrived at certain claims that you've made.
Sure.
Okay. If we could put up Mr. DeSogra's new PowerPoint 52525.
No, his new PowerPoint, just like Welch's new one as well.
Yeah.
You've made a modification to your PowerPoint.
Yes.
You've made an amendment to your PowerPoint.
Yes.
So there was something that happened. You received new information or new data, and you updated or changed your PowerPoint.
I did.
And that's an appropriate thing to do when you receive new information, isn't it?
Yes.
If you have new data, you don't want to leave it behind. You want to make the best presentation with the best data you can.
I'd want my presentation of the data to be as accurate as possible, so I included all the data.
And you would expect that from any expert, wouldn't you? If they receive new information or analyze new data,
No.
that's important.
He's
It would
covering
be
his
an
ass when
appropriate
he's
best
done.
practice to
Yeah.
update the PowerPoint or information they're providing, wouldn't it?
I'm going to allow that.
Oh, you're a cunt.
I don't know if I would tell other experts what their best practices are. I would say, generally as experts, we do work that our clients ask us to do. So if we're asked to do it, we do it. If our clients say, hey, don't do that, we don't do it.
Well, you like the phrase best practice on direct, so I'm just wondering if I can borrow that phrase.
See, Burgess rang him to get help.
Okay.
And I reckon
We can turn to
you've
page
got him on your speed dial.
Now, this is taken from Dr. Welcher's report.
Yes.
And again, you did no testing whatsoever. You just
I
read
did not.
reports. Did you read all of Dr. Welcher's data, the gigabytes and gigabytes of data? Did you go through it all?
Not every slide, no.
No, not just the PowerPoint. I mean the actual massive amount of data in his study. Did you go through the data?
Oh, no, I didn't look at any of the data.
Did you ever speak to Dr. Welcher?
No.
And so when you are making assumptions on what he
it's
thought or
pompous
how he
asshole.
analyzed, you're
He's
just
put
guessing.
it on his fucking report. That's what it's for.
I am looking at what Dr. Welcher put in his trial presentation, and my assumption that's baked in there is that he's going to stand behind the things he says in a presentation. So I'm taking them at face value, but as being correct.
It's not a matter
I'm
of
not
assumption.
guessing.
It's not a matter if he's going to stand behind it. You don't know why he put something in here. You just see it on the paper. You don't know
Oh
what his
my
thought
God.
process was, did you?
To an extent, yes, because I
He's an
understand
expert, and it's
Because I did
how
the same shit.
the
Yeah.
exemplar
Oh my
testing by
God.
Aperture laid the foundation to
Mm.
align the key on events,
Yeah. Double
the
up.
infotainment,
Mm.
to the Lexus VCH events.
Dipshit
When
likes
Dr.
coming-
Welcher made his PowerPoint, do you know whether or not he was relying on 154 on Mr. O'Keefe's phone, stamp 154, as the end of the event as opposed to the beginning of the three-point turn,
Name all
1162.1?
votes for
Based on the math he uses, that's the implication. He puts a number on the screen that the only way you could reach that number is by making that assumption. So when I looked at the math, yes, that assumption seems baked into the math he did.
So this seems like it's baked in that he was assuming 154 on John O'Keefe's phone was the end of the three-point turn.
Not on this slide,
somebody should,
on a later slide, but yes.
Sorry.
And you said,
We we nominate. We have a dipshit award for every trial. Sorry, and we
They get points.
We take votes throughout the trial, and whoever's got the most points gets the inaugural dipshit award for.
But see, is that really fair when Hank Brennan is there every day when the others aren't?
Well, no, it's not, because most of the nominations, most of the voting is in the single figures. He's in the 4-figure range right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this will be his third.
And that variance is 30 seconds,
Oh yeah,
45
I
seconds.
say any
They're very
nominations.
common when
Type
you're comparing two different
how many
devices,
votes
right?
do you
Yes.
want to whoever in chat?
How many points would you like to give?
Yep. And
Yeah,
who to?
Brennan gets
You
it
point out 2 times
every
for the jury.
day.
The
Bends
Lexus
over
event,
and takes it
11:62
well.
ends
Well, he's not taking it that
12:31:23, right?
Yes.
And that's based on the clock and the infotainment system.
Let's have
That
another
time
uncle moment.
is based on 2 things: the clock in the infotainment unit and the cumulative key
Objection,
on
dipshit.
Yep.
timer
Oh my God.
in the text stream data. So it's a combination of 2 values.
Which is the running clock.
Correct.
And that is
That's the
compared
king of all
or
dipshits.
contrasted or coordinated with the log on off time that was found on the SD card. Yes?
Yes.
And without that SD card, we wouldn't have that time now, would we?
Correct.
Okay. 123209 isn't something you analyzed, but you just read in the report that that is information from Ian Whiffen suggesting or taking the position that was the last user interaction John O'Keefe had with his cell phone, 123209.
That's how I understand it. There was a phone lock at 12:32:09. I did not look into the underlying reports from where that came.
And you know those are 2 different devices, 2 different clocks that will have a variance.
Yes.
Oh, really? The
You
car
mentioned
and the
trigger
phone.
event, and you said that your preference is to, when you're doing times, to point it from the actual trigger event, and there's a little slap for emphasis to target you on that, right? The trigger event. That's not a
Little slap for
standard
emphasis?
practice or
Really?
protocol
Oh, that's going
that
on a
is
t-shirt.
supported by any type of literature, is it?
It's the methodology I teach especially in the class I teach on the analysis of heavy vehicle data. We have the exact same problem with heavy vehicles. They all have clocks on them. And so in fact, I do a lot of clock adjustment on heavy vehicles relative to other sources. And the way I teach it, the way I'm not the only instructor, collectively, the way we all teach it is we generally start the analysis at the trigger, which is not to suggest you have to do that. It's not wrong to do it a different way, but that would be let's call it the default methodology.
The default methodology, do you have any professional literature that says that is the best time to start the analysis?
Not literature. I mean, that's sort of my opinion, because that introduces the least amount of variables. Once you start trying to align events off of subsequent times, you just introduce more addition and subtraction or math you have to do. So it's easiest to do T0 and align everything from there.
If you're lining up the end of one event with the end of another event, it's more coordinated.
Pretty cute. I wouldn't mind holding his own either.
That could be a scenario where then you wouldn't use it. Right. Like I said, it's not the only way, but it's the default way.
I don't disrespect your method, but there are other ways to do it that are just as legitimate as the trigger one.
Absolutely. And that's why I didn't change the convention here. I used their convention,
So you're not
apertures.
suggesting that Mr. Burns was being misleading by choosing the endpoint when he pronounced that's exactly the point he was considering, are you?
No.
And so the word cherry picking, you're not saying he was cherry picking, are you?
I don't remember the context in which I used the word cherry picking, but I don't think it was with respect to a trigger alignment.
So there's no legitimate professional basis of suggesting your way is better or worse than going from the front or the end of the event?
No.
So you're not offering criticism on that, so just so I understand it.
Not criticism. I pointed out that it's not typical, and I pointed out not even to say specifically that it's not typical, because even that, to your point, might sound critical. I just want to be clear that I adopted their convention. It's not the way I would have done it, but I kept that convention consistent in my analysis. So I wasn't changing in the middle, trying to obfuscate what I'm saying.
I appreciate that.
All right, you
So
don't. You're a fucker.
if someone's looking end to end, you're not going to add 5 seconds. It's if someone went from middle to end.
Could you give me that?
Yeah, you were
a little
suggesting
different?
those questions about, well, since you're looking at the end instead of the middle, then you got to add another 5 seconds on. That's not really an accurate analysis if you're looking at a comparison.
Oh, for fuck's sake, does 5 seconds really matter?
Trigger, you're starting at the end from both devices. Objection.
I'm going to allow it if you can answer.
See?
It's going to depend
No,
on
we had one where she said
if you're doing an alignment with something that is a
very difficult
range of values, then you have to be consistent on where you're doing it. If you're doing discrete points, then that's just a single point in time. There's no beginning or end. It's just a single second. So the best answer I can kind of give is it depends on what you're doing.
Well, in this case, They were basing it off the end of the event, the end, not trigger the end, comparing it comparatively to the end of a different device. So you wouldn't just add 5 seconds just for the heck of it.
You would not add 5 seconds for the heck of it.
Neither would you shoot it into space. We've got to do Alexis in space.
12:32:09 minus
Jump on the camper, Jody.
12:31:43, the middle line equals 26 seconds.
I'm on it.
Isn't that in Dr. Welch's slides before? Let me phrase it more
Put
clearly.
it strapped onto the space shuttle.
Before Shannon Burgess analyzed the data more closely on May 8th.
Because
in
did
May-
you know?
Isn't this the exact difference
Arthur
in time that Dr. Welch cites
actually
in his
did
PowerPoint, 26 seconds?
the crash reconstruction for the space shuttle.
Did you
Columbia.
see when you reviewed reports that
Okay.
Dr. Welcher
Hmm.
uses this exact number plus 26 seconds in his report?
I got the number from the PowerPoint,
I'm sorry,
not the
PowerPoint.
report, but that is all of the numbers here on this slide are from Dr. Welcher's PowerPoint. And on the previous slide, I show that. So these are all just
And-
copied straight from that.
And you've labeled this John's interaction window.
I did.
Okay. Interaction window. Do you think it might be confusing when you use interaction window to make it seem like the event was limited to 10 seconds?
Oh.
No, and that's not the implication there at all.
That's not what I'm trying to say.
That's not
Yes,
what I'm
I
trying to
thought
say.
it was
Fair enough,
interesting
fair
too, Jenny.
If I can clarify what I mean by interaction window is that there's
Please do.
a range of times that we end up with when we start running these adjustments. So we never land on a singular point of alignment. We end up, like I showed at the end, with 30 points. That's the window that I'm talking about. That's the window that I mean.
So if we could put up page 33 from Dr. Welcher's PowerPoint, just to illustrate what you're trying to help us with. You want to add a little forward? So this represents, you've seen this, right?
It looks familiar, like it's from one of his slides. And if I've seen it, I did not spend a lot of time digging into it.
Does this look like the 10 seconds of data that would be captured from a triggering event in a text stream data? Judging.
I want to see you at sidebar.
They should be made to wear bloody walk around microphones, I reckon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sidebar. Quick, put your little. Oh, I can do the sloppy thing, can't I?
Yeah, you can.
Where is it? Oh, we'll do this one.
Sidebar School, it's in your sight. Like and subscribe. Oh, don't be shy.
I'm looking for the right hand.
Oh, here we go. The Brennan effect. What about that one?
Yeah, that's a good one. It's just vomiting.
Oh, here's the sidebar swoosh. Police uniform.
Oh, come on. Where's the good
Smack this.
So it looks like 93.93.
The space shuttle taken like on the landing thing, on the takeoff thing, whatever it's called, and strap a freaking
No, I'm doing a.
Lexus to it.
Just a little slap.
What are you doing?
Just a little slap for emphasis.
I was slapped. Oh, the sound effects.
No. The comment that he made. Just a little slap for
okay.
emphasis. Yeah. Oh. He's an ass. I hate him. I hate him.
He's not very good, is he?
Pardon? What?
Bit of an asshole.
Yeah. And I'm backwards and coming forwards, aren't I?
Oh, of course. I know, but see, what I was saying to Jody yesterday too, this Judson, what a name, Welcher, and what a name, eh, Welcher? You got a Welcher on my bed, are you?
Mm-hmm.
His business was bought by Aperture 3 years ago. And, I don't know in America, but in Australia, when you sell a business, there's usually a thing where you got to go work for the new business for a certain period of time. And it's usually 3 or 5 years, you know what I mean? Any more than that, and it's probably considered not a proper contract because, it's too long. Just so that, the clients are retained, etc. I was wondering, the 3 years is up. It's 3.5 years at the moment that since Aperture was bought, since Aperture bought Mr. Judson's company. Do you think maybe he just wanted a $400,000 bonus before he left? Or he retires? Or goes?
All Hank did was
I don't know.
put out how much money and find whoever was prepared to take it to tell to say whatever he wanted them to say. That's it.
Oh,
All his-
Simi, we've got one that says I bid him. You haven't
Yes.
seen that?
Oh no. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Have we got time? We've got one. Now, just let me see. Where did I put that? Is it in there? No. We've got to find it. I know it's here.
All right,
I
where
look
is
up
it?
I'll look after the face. Could be in there. Oh, shit, where did I put it?
Ah, yes. There you go.
What? Oh, you've got it.
No, have a look at the screen.
Oh, a little slap reference. We need a sound effect on that.
Yeah, no, there's a t-shirt.
Oh,
got
that's
another
a
one.
t-shirt you're gonna do.
Yes. Hang on, where's the other one? There's another one I did earlier.
Didn't I?
That was a shit show one. I like that.
Oh, I know where it is. It's in Canberra.
That one.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Now to the shit show. I reckon it's better than this.
Ah.
Are they back?
No, they're going to lunch.
Oh, okay.
That shit show. Done. Oh,
I think I put it in here.
Follow me, please.
I actually think I need to put a t-shirt on. I'm starting to sweat here.
Well, that's what I felt the other night, yeah. Oh, here it is.
Dear. Brace yourselves. Warning, warning.
Warning, warning, warning.
Mm-hmm.
This is now, here we go. This is Chloe. On the night, this is live footage that we have found of Chloe on the night. Here we go. That's it there, yes.
I should play some of my songs for once you've done that.
Oh! How do I get in there? Get back there.
I'm just going to lurk. I'll be back in a second. I'll still stay on screen.